Loading snacks.
What it do, snackers, snackers, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I'm here with Sin. I'm here with Adam. I'm here with Jerry, the franchise Gaylord. And it is time for another episode of Spoiler Boys.
Spoiler boys.
Spoiler boys.
All the way around the world. You know what I'm saying? East Coast to West Coast, no beef here. East Coast to West Coast. I do see the LA. You know what I mean?
United today, man.
As we're recording this, the music industry is having a time. But we are here to spoil episodes 8 and 9 of X-Men 97. We missed last week. We're about to go all the way in. There's a lot to discuss. I kind of actually like the idea of doing these two episodes together before we get to the finale, just off of the strength that, again, this is really a 3-part piece, and these two episodes, they just lead so directly into one another that I think Tolerance is Extinction as a title for these episodes, parts 1 and part 2, just kind of makes sense. So let's try our best. It's very difficult to come in here and to separate the events of one episode from the events of the other episode. So I want to give permission to freely speak about both episodes as a whole. Okay. Because we are covering both. So we don't really need to worry about and hesitate to be like, well, that happened in the later episode. Let's not go there yet. Let's just kind of agree now that the effects of both episodes, they weigh on each other. So we're just going to talk about the episodes, right? But I am still going to ask for ratings / rankings for each episode individually. And we need to do some of those first. For those who don't know, most of the time when we do Spoiler Boys, we do a ranking of how we feel prior to really getting into the discussion. And we do that because sometimes we feel differently by the time the discussion is over. Once we've had a chance to kind of explore everybody's opinions, and maybe you get some information like, oh, I didn't realize that, whatever. And sometimes that just kind of changes. And sometimes it swings either way. Sometimes it goes down. Sometimes it goes up. So this is what I want to do. I want to go around the horn for episode 7. If you can try to mentally partition off. For episode 7, I want to get some scores for episode 8. Okay. For episode 8, I want to go around and get some scores and see where we feel. I'll start with you, Adam. Can you give me a score out of 10 for episode 8?
Yeah. I'm trying to put myself back in that moment. I felt really, I really liked that episode. I felt really good about it, and now it's dawned on me what happened. Okay, so I remember I had to remember the big moments and why I felt. I'm at an 8.5 with that one. Remember, it's extremely difficult for me to get a 10. Okay, so I'm at an 8.5 because of some of the big moments. And I'll just say real quick. They waited a long time to give Logan like a moment, and I thought it was worth it when he finally had his cool fight moment. You know what I mean? That's not the episode was obviously more than that, but I remember that standing out. That was like an exciting moment for me. Him and Nightcrawler, obviously.
I dig it, Jerry.
I for episode 8, I'm coming in at a solid 9. I think again, like so far, like the highest like emotion and everything else has really been like at episode 5. And episode 8, I mean, wow, you know what I mean? Like it's like I honestly, like as a piece of entertainment, like judging it as an episode on its own, it's almost like I'm handicapping the episode because it's not episode 5, and that almost doesn't even feel fair because
Sure.
everything can't be there, like everything is working the way it's supposed to, because like every episode prior to this
Right.
is is where it was, and like the characters were doing what the characters were doing. So I'm definitely a 9, and I'm like I'm trying to understand like why I don't want to say 10, because I feel like the only reason I'm holding it back is just
because it would make it on par with episode 5.
Yeah, that's a great point though. That's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like it as an episode is equivalent to episode 5?
So I mean, like where it sits in the story, like it can't be like in terms of like emotional, like where you are at this point in any like structure, it can't be.
Right.
So I think you're right. Like I that helps me feel better about the like where I gauge it. But I think it's a solid 9. Like I as I watch the episode like repeatedly, like I'm super duper biased, but I don't find any fault in any of it. You know what I mean? At no point do I watch it and I go like, why is this was slow? They you know you know what I mean? Like as I'm watching it as someone who watches entertainment, I'm like, this is what I want from entertainment. Whether it's superheroes or drama or like any of that stuff. This is what I'm looking for, and I just enjoy it so much.
Just be honest. Just don't mess with the summers. That was your favorite part.
That was a good part.
I mean,
listen, hold up.
Listen, I'm getting ready to lower my score before we even start.
Hold up, man. Hold up.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
With the side shades.
Yeah, man.
With the side shades.
Yeah.
Before I ask you, Sin, where your score is for this episode, I wanna just lay out what, like, look, your score is your score, right? It's personal to you, so it can be whatever it is. That doesn't mean I won't try to pick it apart, because that's what I do. However, I will do that anytime in a need to kind of understand and gauge the way a person scores things, right? Just because maybe they're both 10s to you, right? But one's just a high 10, like whatever that means. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like you understand what I'm saying? And so it's like, I'm not necessarily mad at that, but I will ask you to explain it if that's what you come to the table with. You know what I'm saying? Feel free. I don't think you should ever feel bad about where you are with your score, because again, it's personal, right? So nobody's watching it for you.
Right.
You're watching and interpreting it for yourself. And how you rank it when you compare it to, whether you compare it to other episodes, or whether you compare it as a standalone piece of medium, or you compare it to what the show was in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like, all of that is fair, because all of it exists within your mind, and how you level it is how you level it. Now, having said that, because Sin be,
I'm not jokes. Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, you're not as bad as jokes is, but you be cheating sometimes. Sin, how do you score episode 8?
I would add him at 8.
Pre-discussion.
Yeah,
8.5.
I'm at an 8.5. I could probably talk him to a 9, but I'm at an 8.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
With it, yeah. I like the build up, the reveal of everything. Like, you got popping with the action, towards the end and everything. Like, yeah, I'm at an 8.5.
Does.
Yeah.
So I'm at an 8. Maybe a 7.5. I'm like,
okay.
Listen, we're going in the right direction. But it gets real corny in some spaces that just don't feel good to me.
Let's hear it. Let's talk about it.
Look, don't let it be in Summers.
No. Everything is on the table.
Everything is on the table, and you need to know, dog, that like that entire sequence of driving around in the Summers Porsche, we don't need none of this. Get it out of here, dog. Why are we? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of what's happening. It makes no sense, and I hate it. It's very Fast and the Furious, which I also hate. Yeah. So like, don't try not to. You know what I'm saying? It is. That's where I'm at. Like I didn't like
that's
it.
Cool though. Like that's fine. Like that's entertainment. You know what I mean? It's like you not feeling that. You're perfectly free to not feel that. You know what I mean?
1,000%.
Yeah.
Can I comment on the score thing just real quick?
Absolutely.
So I think while because the show's really good, right? Yeah. And so I think that's why we get kind of like when we get to the score portion of it, it's like, what do I want to give it? Because the show is really great at giving you like a really big moment at the end of every episode, right? Like I almost forgot, like, because we were talking about Kendrick Lamar and all this stuff before we got on, I actually forgot what happened at the end of episode 8. And it dawned on me while I was thinking of my score. And that's a big moment. Like we've had a bigger one this week. So the show does a great job of like giving you something new every week. That's like, what the hell? That's crazy. Or for us comic book fans, oh man, they went there. So I think when we're trying to think of a score for most of the episodes, you can easily like just jump to it was a 10. That moment when Magneto knocks all the power out is crazy. That feels like a 10. But I think we are holding it because it had such a great episode in this series, an episode that when we were talking about it, we were talking about how it compares to big MCU moment.
Sure.
That is something that I feel like we're all judging it against, right? And for me, that was a 10, and it's okay if it hasn't touched that again because it gave me that. Like that's hard for a series to do just in general, to give you so like that where you come where the world was talking about it for a few minutes, like, oh my God, that's like the best piece of TV I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I also think there's something to be said for what makes a show like this special when you have to wait a week.
Yes.
When you're not in a position to binge it.
Yes.
How much more impactful it is from moment to moment. I say that having gone back and rewatched almost all the episodes with my youngest daughter who hadn't watched any of it, right? And she's seen some of the old original ones. We went back and started watching it. When we got to episode 5, the impact I don't feel like was anywhere near as impactful, right? Of like what happened to Gambit, because I was like, all right, well now we can just watch episode 6. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like it just like it doesn't. You didn't have that moment of like, oh snap, and then it ended, and you're just kind of left.
What happened?
Like you like in the theater when Endgame, you know what I'm saying? When like when Infinity Gauntlet happened, and it was like they can't all be gone. Like that, they couldn't have lost, right? And you're just stuck having to deal with it until the next movie comes out, right? Like that week of like talking about it and what you felt about it and what it meant, and having had to wait to get to that moment, a week from the last episode, that is very impactful.
Yes,
and so that's kind of why I spoke about trying to be able to break episodes 8 and 9 up if you can, because I do believe that episode 8 is more impactful when you have to wait to get to episode 9.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
I mean,
because go ahead.
No, you go, Jerry.
Yeah, at the end of 8, I mean, like similarly to 5, like all the breaks are gone, right? You know what I mean? Like the mansion is done. We're sitting on like, I don't know, only half our X-Men. Right? I mean, things are looking bad. Trish Chilby done sucker punched Beast. Listen, I don't like Beast. Like I've never liked Beast. And I've been watching this show, And like slowly, I'm like, wait a minute, do I like Beast?
Of
Is
course
he
you do.
okay?
Why wouldn't you like Beast?
I never liked Beast. I just didn't.
But
I'm
why?
just like, I just was never here for it. Like I think to me, Beast he's always been the character from the cartoon that I least like relate to, just because when I'm a kid, I'm like 12 and he's like the scientist guy. Like I'm not into it, like his powers and all of that stuff. And then like as I'm watching this show, I actually don't care about his powers and the stuff that he does. I'm actually interested in the drama
The
he's going through.
humanity of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like that's it's a brand new experience for me. Like I never liked him in the movies, especially like the First Class and Forward. Like I can't stand Beast.
Yeah, because that's not Beast.
It's pretty terrible. He's pretty terrible in those joints. Kelsey Grammer joint.
Kelsey Grammer he's enjoyable to watch as an actor.
Yeah,
listening to him talk is fun. But like
he sounds exactly like what I feel like Beast is supposed to sound like.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they'll do a much better job with him moving forward. I'm glad they brought him back to to voice Beast. I don't think he got I don't think he really had a shot in X3. He wasn't. It was just one time. We didn't really get to see him for like 3 movies like the rest of the characters. So I'm glad he's back.
I mean, I like that you're coming around on Beast. I think it's important to use that and just kind of speak to what the power of this show is, not just the show, but X-Men in general, right? There is kind of a character for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has a favorite or a couple. Like right now, dog, I want to tell y'all, I'm allowed to. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. It is driving me insane that they keep showing the original picture of the original X-Men, right? Keep putting it back on the wall. Like, I don't know how many times this joint has got knocked off the wall or whatever. They keep putting it back on the wall. And I'm like, all right, we did get Angel before. We had all that. We went through the innocent. Where is Bobby Drake, dog? Where is Iceman, dog?
Yeah,
like in the original series, he went off to because he came back and he was after the X-Men. He was angry and pissed off, and he went.
Yeah. It was a great episode.
Yeah, so I'm guessing he's still off doing that, like just finding himself or whatever. So back.
Yeah. It's time, bruh.
I feel you.
It was popping.
I feel you. Yeah.
It's time.
It's time. I know you got a TV, Bobby. Get up.
I'm just saying, because seeing like that picture and seeing Beast look like a man with big feet.
Yeah.
And Iceman looked like a snowman.
He looked horrifying.
It's disrespectful, dog. And I just can't. It's so disrespectful because he's my favorite guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, episode 7.
8.
I'm sorry, 8 does a great job of picking up from episode 7. Like the way they end 7 and pick up 8. To me, actually feels more cohesive than it has in some of the other episodes. And where everybody is, I think, mentally in the moment. And all right, it's like now we're really ramping up. Now it's go time. It was go time. Now it's go time.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing to say, right? We was already in go get it mode. Now we gotta go get it mode.
Yeah.
It ramps up real quick. And again, I mostly only hate one part of it, so I won't even talk about it no more. But since I know y'all seem to love it so much.
You talking to the guy over here?
I feel like you loved it too, Sin.
No, the hell I didn't.
My man.
I like it.
I agree. That part just felt weird. Like, okay, then they had a little sliding pose at the end. I was like, all right, y'all doing too much. All right, come on, let's get on with it.
Oh, no. Listen. I know. So I just watched it again yesterday. And that sliding pose, they earned that thing. That lane, stuck that landing. Yo, I was like, yeah, tell them. They don't want it.
Go ahead and rep your people, man. Go ahead and rep your people.
Can I tell you what? Can I tell you what made me mad, dog? In that they like fun. I'm like, dog, the car can't get destroyed because Jean wrapped all of them up in the Jean bubble. Mm-hmm. She could have wrapped the car up. I don't understand, dog. Like it gets very picky and choosy, and that like stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm very picky about. It
grinds your gears.
Yes, I'm so picky about. Like I am so good at suspending disbelief so that I can be on this ride. And I'm like, why wouldn't she just wrap the whole car up and keep everything? Why wouldn't we just do that? So that everything's good.
After we destroyed the Blackbird again.
Because
they didn't move out of that space anymore for that episode.
So they could pose, bro. So they could put the car in the joint and they could pose. And
with the explosion.
So stuff like that.
They Michael Bay.
So here's the thing. I'm like look, giving Wolverine an opportunity that is force fed for him to show his claws. Like they used to do that a lot in the original joint. They'd be like, it's time to do something. And he would just put his claws out. Even if they didn't fight or do nothing, he'd just be like, I'm mad. And he'd put his claws out. So that's what people wanted to see. They want to see Wolverine put his claws out, right?
Yeah.
But it's force fed. You know what I'm saying? Moments like that where it's like, well, I feel like it's to me, it's somebody going, I feel like it would be really cool if we put the Scott Porsche, if we put the Summer Porsche, if we put it in this joint. And somebody was like, you know what? That would be cool. And they would be like, well, there's no really good reason to do it. Let's blow up another Blackbird.
How much money do y'all have?
Many roots.
No.
Hey, dog, listen. I know. Look, this is the first time. I'm not even joking. Like, this is the first time in the history of my being an X-Men fan, and my history goes way back with a hard H. Way back, bruh. Mm-hmm. This is the first time I have ever questioned what is Charles Xavier's job, dog? What does this Brammer do, dog? Where are you getting?
Are going to blow up? And come on now.
My question isn't. Listen, Penny. As soon like when that happened, Penny was like, "Wait, what does Xavier do again?" I was like, "He is independently wealthy. He is a very wealthy."
I need more than that.
He's a very hold up though. He's a very wealthy white guy, right? He's just. I mean, what's a Porsche compared to three? What's a Porsche compared to 3 Blackbirds in 3 months? That's not even the real question. The real question is, what does Cyclops do for a living? Cyclops doesn't have a job. He doesn't do anything.
He has an allowance.
You know, one of the coolest things the MCU ever did, and it's very forgettable. Just as a sidebar, and I won't take a lot of time with it at all. I promise you. In Falcon and Winter Soldier, they actually had a little moment there when they were like, "Yeah, we're kind of living off a stipend, and you know, Falcon needs to go get a loan for the house, and you know, that's something you don't think about a lot. Like, where do superheroes get their money from?" And I thought that was a clever thing to do in that, you know, as a sidebar in that series to say, hey, you know, there's like a government stipend for them, and it ain't a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
100%. Listen, dog, I am all for. Look, I was always under the impression like it's the Blackbird.
Yeah,
it's not our. Like, cause, dog, listen to me. If you got 5 Blackbirds, why are we all in the same joint? And 90% of the team can fly. Stop playing with me, dog. Like now it's starting to mess with me. You know what I'm saying? So like
maybe
Gene.
Now listen. Yeah.
Think about it. When the Blackbird blew up in the first
like 3 of them could fly.
They turned around and was like, one of them said something. I think it was Wolverine. It was like, I think Cyclops said to Wolverine something like, if this joint goes down, if this goes bad, you're like the only person who can't fly.
Yeah, he said it to Gambit. He said the Gambit.
Oh, Gambit. It was Magneto.
Yeah, Magneto said it to Gambit when they were going to Genosha.
No. Wolverine can't fly, but he'd survive the fall, right? Apparently, Cyclops can't fly, but he can survive the fall by blowing up everything below him.
Right.
Yeah.
Morph can do anything he wants. So this is my other issue right now with this show is that Morph is clearly the most powerful mutant on the planet.
He getting off right now.
I've never.
But that is his power set in the books.
I mean, I know, dog. Come on, dog. Come on, dog.
Look, I'm sorry. I had to stand up when he turned the Incredible Hulk. I had to stand up like, hey, stop playing with me, Morph, and start going ham.
Like, why don't you just always do that?
Oh, Gage, stop.
Why did you pick? Why did you listen?
So I've seen you do this enough now.
Last time and pick Hulk this time.
I've seen you do enough to where you can tap into anybody, bruh. You should be decimating everything out here.
Dog, if this Bramble don't change into Magneto and just undo whatever Magneto did, why are we even having this fight, dog? There has to be like that ruins it for me. It just does.
So there's gotta be there must be limitations on Morph's powers. Yeah. Just from a creative standpoint, there's no way that he's like, I'm Magneto and I have full access to all of the full extent of Magneto's abilities.
Yeah.
Listen, 1000%. But say it. Like somewhere along the line, you have to But again, I'm all about the suspension of disbelief. So in some manner, you do have to be able to say it's only this much. And I don't care if you just give me a quick Danger Room sequence. Yeah. I don't care if it's a flashback. I don't care if it's just something that Wolverine says in passing when it's look, you could have made it as simple as when he changed into Jean, who was pregnant in the club, Wolverine's response to that could have said something even later on about it's not like you actually know what it's like to have a baby inside of you, Morph. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. And just some sort of hint that yes, on exteriorly, he looks like them and has some of what they can do.
Like a percentage or something.
But wait. I think we are understand, and it is funny. Okay. But I think that the reason why I don't get caught up on stuff like that is because I know it's a series and I know that there's more to after next week's episode, there will be another 10 episodes coming at a certain point, right? And I also
oh no, that's for sure.
Maybe.
That's for sure.
And
wink wink.
Where I see if Marvel doesn't do that, they are wow. Okay, but
I'm just saying.
It's happening, but also I mentioned this a couple of weeks back that I see where the team is going, and right now, I don't think right now is the best time to start explaining power sets so much because you can do that with where did my man get his okay, he learned how to fly in the Danger Room, but all of a sudden he has full control of his power and he can fly. So some things I'm forgiving.
But listen, they did enough just to have him say, I've been practicing in the Danger Room. He said that. So you don't even know that he had.
That's what I'm saying. That it wasn't really enough for me to say you mastered a week ago. You couldn't even.
We don't know, but we don't know that he mastered it. He actually, again, that's all I'm talking about. That's to me, that's perfect. Right? All of a sudden, he's changing and he's flying around. And even Jubilee is looking all right. And he's I've been practicing in the Danger Room. You know what I'm saying? And he's I'm still trying to get a handle on the flight. He even says, I don't have it completely under control. So what I'm saying is,
my thing is this: with Morph in the old series, I watched him turn to Omega Red. I watched him turn to Deadpool. I watched him turn to a. So this is something that is from the old series.
I get it.
He just looks different, though.
All I'm saying is, at some point, right? You as a writer, as a creator, as a person, as the team putting the show together, you do have a responsibility for what the suspension of disbelief is. You do, right? And so anything that seems questionable is questionable because we're not questioning it from the logic out here. We're questioning it from the logic within the series itself. So we are questioning it from within the suspension of disbelief, not from outside of it. So
yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I
think I have. I can maybe spread some light on it,
and that's cool. Listen, that's cool. my point really isn't how come Morph doesn't just. That's not actually really what my point is.
Yeah.
My point is that everything in this show, everything that has happened in every episode, up to the point where we get to the Porsche, felt like it mattered and it was important and it was part of what the story really is. That is the one piece that just felt to me like we're just doing this to do this. Somebody felt like this was going to be cool, so we just going to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's almost the same thing for me as, and I kind of felt bad about this when we watched the first episode and they went like so hard to make Cyclops seem so cool. And he's doing things with his optic blast that we've never seen him do before in terms of moving around the room and being whatever. I knew when that happened, we were never going to see it again. And we don't ever see it happen again. So it's like, let's take this moment to show how dope and how good he really is. And at no point during the rest of the show do we ever see him get there again. I was okay with that because I was able to accept it. Like, you know what? There's a transition happening here. It's not about those moments right now. So this moment very much felt like in the midst of this battle, this very important thing that is literally life and death for all of these people, we just decided we're going to have a very cool Fast and the Furious moment for the sake of having it. And it doesn't feel like it's integral, necessary, or important in any way to the story other than just to do it. And so that then pulls me out of the suspension of disbelief and makes me go start questioning other things. It only happened to me because that moment exists in the show. That's why the episode is lower on the scale for me. It doesn't lower my scale for the rest of the episode. It's not lowering my scale going forward, but it does put me in a place where it's like, I feel like they could have done something different or maybe better to accentuate the fact that those three people, that Gene and Nathan and Scott, are together. They're the only ones that are together. And now we're going to get, like, we could have still had some of those lines, you know what I mean? Don't mess with the Summers, or, you know, whatever it is, right? Like, we could have still had some of those lines in there. It didn't need to be in that way. It felt corny to me. And it's the only thing in this entire show that has felt corny to me because it felt shoehorned in.
See,
for real.
like that's like the beauty. I think that's the beauty of like this whole conversation, right? It's like, you know, from the inside, like creating stuff like that, like, you know, seeing the script. Like I didn't read the script, but I could almost guarantee the things that you're like, the existence of the Porsche itself, like if that's the issue, or like is that the issue, or is it the sequence itself, like how it unfolds?
I think it's the sequence itself, because look, there are Easter eggs all throughout these joints. Like there's Easter eggs of little things that are like they never really push it. And like even if you consider it an Easter egg that calls back to, like in the live action X-Men movies, I think it was an Audi. I don't think it was a Porsche. I don't think
he had a sports car though.
Yeah. But he had the blue sports car, which again is cool. It pulls from the comics. I get it, right? I'm not mad that the sports car exists. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad that he has it, you know, or whatever. The sequence itself just kind of feels like we're going to drive out of the exploding Blackbird on a Porsche. However, we have someone who could hold the entire Blackbird together with her mind. She could just literally fly us down to the, like, we don't need, like, none of this is necessary. She could put us in a ball and Scott could shoot through it and we can still move through the cave. We can still, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this whole driving thing with it? Like, it felt very unnecessary. Like, why is your Porsche in the back of the Blackbird anyway? Like it just begins to call into questions like, why are we doing this? And again, I don't have questions like that about anything else that happens in the series. Not, I shouldn't say, in X-Men 97, this series. There are some questionable things, you know what I'm saying, from 92 to 97. But that's
I think that, like, but again, so like that's I think the things that are bothering you and like they're like, yeah, like I get it. Like it made you feel like that. That's completely legitimate. But the thing is about all of this entertainment is that it's art. It's like super duper subjective. So like to me, like as I watched that scene, like creatively, like as somebody who like does this, like the objective is they're trying to escape these super sentinels, and like I need to make this visually interesting. I need to continue the story, make it visually interesting, and it needs to be something that like if I was boarding it, that I need to like it. And I need to be able to pitch that to the directors and all these people, and they need to see it, and I need to be able to like just get those ideas across. And so like me watching it, like when I see it, like for me as somebody who is I think I'm okay with a lot of cheesy stuff. Like it just didn't
I almost made a
for me.
Superman dig. I'm not gonna.
Oh, I mean, it's there. Like I definitely, like I'm okay for like a moment of like let's just have fun here. And for me, that's what it was. And like in this scene, I don't overthink it. I'm along for the ride and I'm having a good time.
Yeah,
I can't help but overthink it. That's who I am. One. Two. I'm not saying it wasn't fun. It's a fun sequence. I don't think it's even necessarily a bad sequence. I don't think it belongs in that moment because this is like we're at the pinnacle of the show getting serious. Like I know that the pinnacle felt like Gambit died, right? But like we're past that now.
That's the
everybody about to die. You know what I'm saying? So like to me,
I would argue this was the perfect time for it because as bad as things were in that moment, we still hadn't finished with the professor with the Wolverine fight.
Yeah.
Professor X hasn't landed, and then knowing what happens in the next episode, because episode 8, like where's your humor moments? Like where's your moments of levity? They don't happen. And so to me,
I just want you to know that I'm okay if there aren't any.
Yeah, I get that, and again, I think that really the bottom line is that art is subjective, right? Because I did not I honestly had not thought of any of that until you just brought the stuff up, right? Like for
this
real,
is why we give our scores before we have the discussion, and then we give our scores again, because sometimes it has an effect. That's all I'm saying.
I understand. No, I get it. It's this. I truly understand what you're saying. I really do. I can even acknowledge that the scene is corny, but it didn't bother me because it was wrapped in so much other. This you got to think about. Like we're isolating this one part, but like you got to think about, like you just said, you're like there's the Wolverine fight happening. There's the Nightcrawler thing going on. There's a bunch of stuff happening. This is like going back and forth. So I did come out of it thinking like, oh man, look at they got the X-Men music going. It's Cyclops, is Cable, it's the Summers in the whip.
Why? Yeah.
Thing. They got the superhero pose. That's cute. That's what's up. It put a smile on my face. And then I got right back to Wolverine and like moments. We're right back to Wolverine and Nightcrawler in the most tense scene. I mean, I'd like to put that context to it as to why it didn't bother me.
Yeah, I mean, I think
alone, like I might be like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
It says
they can't hit everything. They can't hit everything, right?
No,
so,
of course not.
Like for me and Adam, like it hit the way they wanted. Right. And then for you, like it was a big miss.
You know how Sin was like when he saw Morph change into the Hulk, and in episode 9, he like had to stand up. Was like, oh, like I sucked my teeth when I saw that sequence.
Oh man,
I was like, come on, dog. And here's the thing. Again, I'm okay. Like I think moments of levity are important. I do think that they can be that being able to intertwine moments of levity or just kind of moments of like that pure fun. I think action is fun, even when it's. But this sequence makes it seem like they don't even take this serious. Like, dog, do they know who we are? We about to ride through this. We about to drive through a mountain, Slim. They don't know who we are. We're the Summers is, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they're laughing and smiling together while they're doing it.
It feels very like it's Malibu's Most Wanted to me. Like, it's not. It's like, what's happening here? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I also feel like you know, if we're tracking the Summer story up to this point, Cyclops and Jean have been going through it, and then the little bit of Cable that we've seen has also been going through it. Like, it's a moment of levity in like this like crazy dire situation. Like, what's actually happening is like they're about to be killed by a whole bunch of super sentinels that they're not actually prepared for.
Yeah,
and inside of that, the Summerses are able to like
be a family.
Yes, they're able to be a family.
Put your seatbelt on. You know, that type of stuff. It's just like I get it, but it's also just like a laugh. Like, and again, if it weren't wrapped, if there weren't so many other cool things happening around, even with the Hawk sequence, right? Which I look at the Hawk sequence and I see like the Hawk, the actual Incredible Hawk would not need Jean's help to get up in the air and do these things, right?
Sure.
So even
bro, can you imagine if he did have her help?
Oh, destroy the Earth,
Stop
right? But this Hawk, this is Morph just getting a bigger body mass, which makes him a little stronger. He can knock a Sentinel's head off. So I look at that, and again, it's just two different ways of looking at it. But as Jerry said, and I think that's why I think this is a cool conversation, because frankly, we've been just like loving on the show every time we've done this, right?
Yes.
It's cool to have something that's like, you know what, that's questionable. This, that, another. And I also think it's cool to just have two different, I don't gotta explain that. So it's for me, when it's wrapped around a bunch of cool, I don't get as worked up about
it. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm actually not worked up about it. It feels like we're worked up about it because we're sticking like literally, I'm like, the joke was like an 8, maybe a 7.5.
Right.
Here's my only issue with it. Now.
Yeah.
But I'm also very like, I'm gonna tell you exactly why it's an issue for me.
Yes.
Because that moment actually pulled me out of the moment. You know what I'm saying?
And
like
that's
why. Like,
and
if it drew you into the moment because you're like, oh my God, it's so exciting. Look at Scott go. Yeah. Ooh, I don't care about Scott enough to be like, look at Scott go. Right?
If this was Beast, if this was Beast on there, I'd have been like, "What we like?"
Exactly.
I literally just rolled my eyes and sucked my teeth. Like, come on now. Like,
bro.
When it was over, I was like, all right, we're back over here.
We finally got to the bottom of the issue.
Yeah, I'm like, like, and listen, here's the thing. Please don't get it twisted. That like, I don't hate Cyclops.
That's one.
I don't hate Cyclops, right? I certainly don't hate Cable and don't hate Jean.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It was like, and look, I wanted Cyclops to have the win because again, even like I said before when we were discussing, I'm like, I've seen this story what happened with Scott over time and time again. I've read it multiple, Messiah Complex, all that in the comics or whatever, right? And like we talked about like the arc that Cyclops is on, that you know what I'm saying, of what he has.
Yeah.
I could, even for myself in that moment, I could accept the fact that what Scott has been going through the entire season has been feeling like he's alone. Being surrounded by all these people and feeling like he's alone, right? Yeah. I'm next to my wife, and I'm not sure if this is my wife, right? I'm next to the person who I'm not sure I don't know if I actually married her or married the other one. I don't know who I kissed last. Yeah. I'm having an affair mentally with somebody else who also just got killed, by the way. Right. You know what I'm saying? My child got sent to the future. You know what I'm saying? Like my professor died or is gone somewhere. I don't know what's going on. I'm supposed to be holding the team together. And then the team was given to my mortal enemy. Right. Yeah. I'm still trying to hold it together. I don't know where my place is in this world. Like Scott is going through it, period. And the solace that I take from this moment is what Scott has wanted, what he has been missing is his family. And in this moment, it's him and his son, who he does not know, but is grown up, you know what I'm saying? And his wife, for as far as he's concerned, for all intents and purposes.
Right.
And we're about to have a moment because this is what I have been waiting for. Right. The idea of me being able to teach my son or grow up with my son or whatever, I'm about to show him what I can do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm about to see what he can do. So I took that moment as like, got it. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to use this moment to show my son, oh yeah, dog, you ain't know I was cool? Nah, dog, I'm cool. I got sports car in the back. You know, like that's a lot of what it is. Oh, you ain't know. Watch how I drive. I get down, bro. Like I don't even need Professor X to show me how to, like, he can't show me how to drive. Slim legs don't work. I do this. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to see me whip? Watch me whip, dog. This ain't even in the streets. Like I'm whipping around boulders, bro. You have no idea. I get down. And like me and your mother, I mean, not your mother, but like your mother, man, we've been doing this for so long. I know everything she's going to, she know what I'm going to do. We about to do this. We're good. You know what I'm saying? Like I actually can very much accept that in that moment, it is actually you're at war, you're fighting for your life, but you're fighting besides the two people who mean the most to you in the entire world, the two people who were taken from you multiple times. Watch Jean Grey. How many times we talked about this, right? Watch the Phoenix die. Watch, like, you know what I'm saying? Watch my son get taken away from me. Like all of those things. We're talking about a Cyclops who said, and I quote, "Do any of you know what it's like to be abandoned?" Yeah. And then literally said, "I can't be a part of this," and abandoned him, dog. And walked away. If I was going to have an issue with this show, that was going to be the one. Yeah. Hold on, dog. You just said nobody knows what it's like to be abandoned. I won't abandon my son. I can't be a part of this, and walked away. Yeah, right. What are you talking about, dog? Yeah. You're the biggest hypocrite on the show. Period. Now, having said that, I'm gonna play the sequence because I know Scott needed it. You know what I'm saying? And what that means is Jerry needed it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like
yeah.
So right. Again, it's the corniest segment we've had in the entire run of the series. Period. To end with a full-on like superhero pose at the end of the joint with the you know what I'm saying, with the Holy Trinity. Come on, dog. It's so corny, bro. It's so corny.
On the fridge in the X Mansion.
But you know what?
Right, now, I'm sure it is.
But now it's over, and let's get back to the real joint. Rogue is stuck, laying in the bed. Yeah, and for some reason, these Bama's is children of the corn standing over her. Yeah. Why haven't they done nothing to her? She's one of them. We're gonna get to that later. Something's wrong.
Yeah, no, there's something wrong, something there. There's something there. Yeah, I think
Wait, what with Rogue?
Yeah.
I don't think she's a super sentinel, but I do think that it's something. I thought that was interesting that they were waiting around to do like a special kill on her or to take her.
When she touched was it Trash? When she touched Gyrick, and he had he actually had the virus. She got kind of pieces of him or whatever, and then she was like knocked out. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. Yeah. Something happened to her in that moment, right? Because she wakes up and she in the street, and they just like, "Hey, Ro, we found you. Everything's cool. Something ain't right, dog. That we not even. Something ain't right because they were literally just standing there staring at her, right? Yeah. Like either she stole some of his abilities / powers and has them joints or whatever, so they not bothering her. You know what I'm saying? Or is something else going on? You know what I mean? But there's something else going on with that. So when Wolverine and Nightcrawler show up to defend her, they start going at them, sure. But it almost looks like they're protecting her in some way as well, right? Or that could Bastion have wanted to pull a Magneto and use her powers to, blast his out or whatever and do it like
that X-Men
in the first X-Men joint?
2000, yeah, okay.
Totally possible. Totally possible because Bastion showed up to the house and then rolled out. Came and didn't stay.
Yeah, there's something going on with her. And I thought that was interesting too, that they were sitting around
chilling.
That was interesting. And then also the fight for her, it was saying something without saying what it is, for sure.
I'm gonna tell you something. Hey dog, that Nightcrawler sequence, dog, with Wolverine getting pulled. Oh,
Yo,
They come through for you. I know
tough.
you have been waiting. You was like, they put him in the intro, and
y'all
then
better
the
do
next
something.
episode they just have him hanging around talking to people.
Nah, bro. Put a sword on my prehensile tail and watch me go to work.
Him and Wolverine pulled up with the blades. It was on and popping.
He's been excellent on this show, but it was definitely dope. And they actually, and that's why I love this show. They actually attempted to do that on X-Men Apocalypse, I think it was, where they show what it looks like when you're going through Nightcrawler's teleportation.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I remember when I was in the movie theater, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I've never seen that in live action before, what it would look like to go through that. But this was actually better. This was actually better than a live action movie version of it. It was really cool to see that.
The look on Wolverine's face was great.
That's really what did it.
Yeah.
That's what did it. Because on the movie, it just kind of showed you. I think he had Xavier, and he kind of like took him through the portal, and the things that got weird. Cool. This one, it shows you what it must feel like. To go through that thing. Like, whoa, what the? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was a really. There's spots on this show that animation is very difficult. Invincible talked about it, right? But there are points on this show where the animation is like extremely excellent.
Hey, dog, the money shots.
Yeah,
money shots.
Jean versus Sinister. I mean, that whole sequence with the 360 cam and it's some tough animation on this joint.
This time around, it was Jean versus Cable for me.
Jean versus Cable was tough too.
Wait, hold on. Before we jump, I know
we definitely jump. We definitely
talking about animation. That was one of those that stuck out to me.
We've been a little bit linear. Just before we jump into this episode, I just want to just call out Jubilee and Roberto a little bit. I like Jubilee. I've always liked Jubilee. I mean, since the original show, like I like her. Like I just think she's cool. And I think following her story, and the stuff that she's been going through with Roberto and his mom, that stuff is like it's so heavy.
Yeah.
It feels like so real to me. And then Jubilee and Roberto being in the mall and then having all the sentinels flick off, it feels like, I think Gage, we talked about this one time like on a different show, but when I was 12 years old, right around the time the original X-Men show was going on, I was out in Gaithersburg with like some slightly older teenagers, like my cousins. Like they were probably like, if I was 12, then they were maybe knocking on 16.
Sure.
And we it was nighttime. We were out. We were walking somewhere, and these hillbilly dudes came by in a truck, and they started throwing glass bottles at us. Right.
Wow.
So like they went by, boom, glass bottle, came back, same thing. Third time they did it, one of my family members that I was with, flipped them off and was like, "Hey, yo, what's up?" And then these two like grown white guys get out of the car, and like pulled out a pistol, and then they like literally chased us. So like they got back in the car, they chased us like back into the neighborhood and all of that. And like when I'm watching the Jubilee stuff, and that stuff is like, I feel like I always feel like that's about to happen to them, and I feel like I'm right there with them, and like it's a whole thing. Like it just feels like so like visceral.
Here's the thing. I've always loved the X-Men for that reason, for those things, for its ability to take what seems fake and made up and arbitrary in mutant powers and having the X gene, and it's not your fault. You can't do anything about it. You're born this way, right? And people hating you anyway, right? For nothing other than existing, or because you're better than them, because you're faster than them, because you're taller than them, because you're thinner than, like whatever it is, right? Like those kinds of things are really things that do exist within the human psyche, and there are things that happen to people even when they're not quite as overtly racist as what you just talked about happening to you, right? Even just amongst each other, amongst friends, right? If we're talking about Kendrick versus Drake and we have a little, but I prefer this style of whatever, or like if I'm offended because you say that Drake's not hip hop, he's pop, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, like you have those things between each other that are just they're that poignant, right? And Roberto is so conflicted, right, as a character, because he's always had the fear of how his parents will react. The conversation that they have when he says, you know, I remember watching what was happening to people on TV with my mom or whatever, and saying things like, oh, I hate mutants too, even though I know, you know what I mean, because of what it felt to me like her response would be if she found out about me, right? Having that fear of coming out, you know, if you will. And then having them deal with being chased, being run down, him finally deciding, you know what? This is it. I got to use my powers, right? Secretly, he's been resistant to it, but also secretly, he's been practicing on his own behind their back. He doesn't even want to it's not like, I don't really feel like that was a thing where he's like doing that as a surprise to her. Like, I want to show Jubilee that I am practicing and that I do know how to use my powers or whatever. I think it's a thing that subconsciously he's watching what's happening to these people, and he made a decision in his head that, like, you know what? I might not have a choice. I might really need to go get ready for this. This is a thing that, like, I have to come to grips with who I am, right? And he had the conversation with his mother, right? So she's okay with it. She's not okay with it, but she's okay with it, right? I'm okay with you being who you are. You just can't tell nobody, right?
Yeah,
we just can't show anybody, right? We got to figure some things out. But we got money. We got PR. We'll make it happen. And then in the moment when you need to use your powers to escape the thing that's chasing you because you have powers, the only place you feel like you can go to be safe is you run to your mother.
Yeah.
He goes to his mommy to protect him.
Yeah.
He could kill all of them. He goes to his mommy for protection.
Right.
When he gets there, she said, I think you should go with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, nah,
Yeah.
I can't have that, right? She's literally holding a banquet. It says humans for Genosha, right? Raising money for Genosha. He shows up as a mutant, and everybody in there is like, he's a mutant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, we'll give to them, right? It's like the uppity rich white people that will give money to the little poor black kids, but like, don't bring them here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't want to be associated with you.
I'm doing my part, but I'm also doing my part because it's a tax write-off, sweetheart. We're gonna be fine. Like, those things are so real, right? There's so much that you can pull just from a moment like that, right? Like you bring up, where does he go? It's not just, man, they're trapped and they're dealing with this thing. Like, where would you go? You go to your family. You go to the only place you've ever felt comfortable or safe, and you haven't been able to feel comfortable or safe there ever since this thing happened to you, where you learn this thing about yourself. You haven't felt comfortable or safe, right? But I got money, so I'm just gonna party it away, right? Jubilee didn't have that. So, like, there's also the contrast between the original run of the show with her being that person and her being the eyeballs into what's going on and learning about mutants and all this stuff going on, versus his version of it, where now she's the person that's like shepherding him in and trying to tell him, like, no, this is a place where you can have a home. This can be family. It doesn't have to be blood. Family is chosen. You know what I mean? Like, those kinds of things, that those poignant moments, they're sprinkled throughout. And again, that's why the comic has always resonated with me. It's why the show has resonated with me, because it's always been about things like that, I think, Jerry. And I think that their ability to, like, feed those kinds of things in the middle of shooting fireworks out of your hands, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you know, I mean, as it just it speaks to what the power of the franchise is and how important that it is that it's back in Marvel's hands, right?
Yeah.
And
that it's a series, you know, because when you're doing a movie, you try to cram all of that in. They attempted to do that in the movies, and all of them actually, you know, whether it was young Rogue or young Mystique or whatever, they've tried to have that character that sort of represented the entirety of the mutant experience, but it's in a movie and you kind of breeze through it because it's only 2 hours as opposed to 9. Well, I guess maybe 9 hours. However long this, you know, the time stamp of this series is. So the series is important, and you know, people have been saying that ever since Disney Plus became a thing, and Fox was bought out and all of that. That you know, it was a debate that I would actually debate against people on, like, nah, X-Men needs to be a series. We don't need to do it. It doesn't need a movie. But this actually proves that, and maybe this helps a movie because you see the core of it in a long form storytelling. You know what I mean? Long form storytelling. So I do think that's cool. And another really quick thing I think is cool outside of everything you just said, which is like the core and the most important parts of it. Again, the creepiness of the Sentinels. The Super Sentinels, right? Really reminds me again of my other favorite show, Game of Thrones. The White, like that's like a very White Walker thing. And if you want to get away from Game of Thrones, because those were just zombies basically, it reminds me of Walking Dead or Night of the Living Dead or something like that, where it's just like all of a sudden you're surrounded by these demons, basically. These things that's out to kill you. They look, the design of them is really cool. They look really scary. The yellow eyes, the kind of like, you know, and so I thought that was just to even like standing over Rogue's bed, like how they were looking was very creepy.
Show the corn, dog, like it's weird, bro.
Yeah. And even the Wolverine Nightcrawler sequence, eventually they got the music in once Nightcrawler got the swords, you know. But it started off quiet. When Wolverine came in and stabbed the Sentinel in the back, that was quiet. It wasn't like no. It was this is a creepy sequence, and there's some real danger. And we don't even talk about the score much on this show, but like the score in these last couple of episodes have been like they put you in the right mode for what's happening. So I think everything you said was spot on, Gage, about like just the human emotion aspect of what was going on with that scene. And just the creepiness of it too, like, you know, like you said, they run in the party and all of a sudden they look around. They obviously have a protocol to blend in. They obviously have a protocol to not hurt humans, right? So they stop. No, we're here to help mutants, not hurt me. And that's creepy. That's creepy. Yeah.
It's scary, right? And again, we can touch on that for what happens at the end of episode 9. But like, I mean, look. Episode 8 ends with the inevitable return of Charles Xavier to a home in shambles, right? Bastion is pulled up in the rolls in the whip, you know what I mean, or whatever. Steps out, looks around. I'm out, right?
Also hears that Shorty to let Magneto go.
Yeah, I mean, goodness gracious, what
That's
didn't
why
happen in this?
He left because he's playing it cool, like, oh yeah, but he heard, oh, wait a minute, the one dude who could foil this entire thing is on the loose.
Hey, dog, my man Sinister came over the radio, like, hey, dog, your little pet human, let this grandma go, dog. He was hot. Your little pet human went soft and let him go. Slim. They had her strung up. She's giving that speech at the end, talking about how she felt about Magnus. You know, they really begin to truly like zero in on like again his Jewish heritage, the coming through the Holocaust, the tattoo, like you know, they really like him just strung up on the X. Now she's up on the X, like. She got to get crucified for what she did, man. She just went against the, you know what I'm saying? She just went against the grain. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But hold on. She's human. And they're really eradicating humans, to be honest. That Sentinel thing is like, nah, we out here, we getting them so that we can save them. But nah, we ain't really trying to, the only way to save them is to get rid of them.
It's to weaponize.
It's very Ultron.
Yes.
It's very Ultron. The only way to save you is to save you from yourselves. Y'all need to be us.
Yeah.
We can get rid of them. We can assimilate y'all. And that's you know, yeah, so like that whole sequel, bro. Bastion was hot.
Yeah.
He was hot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My man Magnus.
Yeah. Magnus was the only one that would be able to stop it.
Hey, dog. My man Magnus showed up in his drawers over the
sir.
North Pole. Like, wait a minute.
With a protective bubble to keep him warm.
With chill -40.
Yeah.
I want you to know, Jerry. Yeah. That's how it's supposed to be. Your draw's supposed to be on the inside. When you take your superhero suit off, your draw's supposed to be on the inside, not the outside, dog.
Yeah. And your man, hey, that's funny. And your man had on briefs.
Bro.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. I don't know, dog. Like, my man showed up and shut the world down.
Yo,
yeah, he did.
And here's the thing. Y'all mentioned earlier, you made a great point earlier about why this being appointment viewing is a big deal, right? Because when this ended, one of the biggest things me and my wife talked about, because when it happened, she, you know, it feels like every episode at the end, she's like this, right?
Exactly.
So we get to talking about it, and she understands what he did. I mean, she's a very smart person. She understands, but it's also like, but what really? I get what he did, but what really happened? And I said, he killed thousands of people. He killed them. And so your point about appointment viewing, I spent the whole week wondering what was going to be the aftermath of that. Where they're going to address that? Like, yeah, it's cool. He took down all those sentinels, but what about people that were in airplanes? What about, and they did a good job. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, he
said hospitals.
Yeah, hospitals. They did a great job illustrating that. One, that it was all over the world by showing you different characters from around the world. But showing Spider-Man, and I'm sure you were happy about that. Showing Spider-Man.
Say I didn't call it. Hey, last episode I won like, hey, dog.
Yeah.
Spider-Man coming. Say I didn't call it.
Yeah, you definitely called it. And seeing him with the building shutting off, like that's just that, to your point earlier about like explaining things without having to explain them. That shows you, okay, he didn't just take down the Sentinels, he shut the world down.
Yeah.
Right. It was an EMP blast that shut it all down, bro.
Yes.
He turned off basically the entire Earth's magnetism. He just shut it all down, bro. Like, you know what? Which again is, it goes back to him literally being on trial and lifting them up above the earth and saying, man, let me tell y'all something, bro. Don't make me regret not killing you right now. He said that. Don't make me regret this.
Don't make me let you down. And he also, you know what he's doing? He's pulling the Kendrick Lamar. He was trying to tell Drake, don't make me do it.
Tell you, don't do it.
I'm going to destroy you. Please.
You have no idea. And again, and at that point, it also goes exactly to what Scott said when he was doing the interview, when he said, the only reason why y'all alive is because we let y'all be. Magneto
also calls to a scene, and I love that they do this because they're taking stories from older stories, but they also kind of tap into stuff that's happened in the past couple of years. There's a scene. There's a scene when the mutants are finally like, look, we're about to do this Krakoa thing, and Magneto tells the world, you got new gods now.
You
got new gods now. Period, point blank.
That's what it is.
I'm playing.
Though, again, it's a lot of stuff that Jean Grey can do.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things Magnus can do. My man Magnus shut the world off, dog. He turned it off, dog. That's crazy.
Boss move.
I think, man, so you know, like we getting into it. So you really start looking at like the fatal attractions start to like coming together, and like I think like as I was watching it, like again, I must have been, what was this, like 92 when these books came out, like 93? I feel like I remember like I was in like 8th grade, and I would like get off the bus, walk to the comic book store, and I remember, you know, picking up those books and you know, just getting like those feelings of like as those books are coming out. I guess, man, when that stuff was happening, it might have ended up being weekly as well. Now that I think about it, because there were so many X books.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just epic, and I think the thing that really stands out to me about all of this is just how like big and epic the story has become. You know, like we talk about comparing it to like Avengers and like those live action films, but I would say this situation that these characters have found themselves in is more precarious, more dangerous, more emotionally invested than any of the other Marvel movies. And like I think for me, like Endgame, like I don't think that I like Endgame as much as everybody else. Like I'm not like Endgame hater, but like I just feel like this is, I mean, they put a clock on it. They was like, Magneto shut it down. He said he's killing everyone in 12 hours. He said you can get down or you can get out. Like, that's it.
Get down or lay down.
Yeah.
Found me carrying the asteroid with him.
Right.
That's
how you pull up.
He didn't just bring an asteroid to their busted up house. He brought the whole full Aurora Borealis with him.
Yeah.
Well, that's because there's no.
Yeah.
You gotta think about that for a second, dog. And I got a lot of love for this, because the Aurora Borealis is caused by the magnetic field around the Earth.
Yeah.
He shut that down. So the only magnetism on the planet now is on asteroid M.
Yes.
So you're gonna see that. That's crazy. That they even was like, hey, you know what we should do? Put the Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, man.
That was fire. That was
my goodness. I've been spending a lot of time as an X-Men, you know, just being a person that's obsessed with the X-Men, right? And y'all know this. Trying to tell people that the genius of Marvel is using like lesser villain. Thanos is a popular villain in comic book lore, obviously, right? But using lesser villains and making them kind of, and sometimes failing a lot, you know, they had a villain issue, but sometimes using lesser villains and making them a little more cool, while never being able to touch a Spider-Man character for a long time until they got Spider-Man, right? And definitely not being able to touch a Fantastic Four or X-Men character. And I've been saying that Magneto and Doom are going to be two of, like, if they do it right, which I'm sure they will, these characters will be some of the toughest villains you'll see on screen. And they already proved it with just how they are carrying Magneto in the animated form. The thing
about, I say this a lot. We've had this discussion a lot. We've had the Killmonger discussion. We've had, what makes a really, really great villain is being able to understand a level of humanity within that villain. And that people are saying Magneto was right. People were saying Killmonger was right. People are saying Thanos was right. Like, again, these are people who believe wholeheartedly in the struggle that they've chosen to fight and in the way that they choose to fight for that struggle, right? And that in this case, unlike so many other instances, you have a Magneto who actually did flip sides and did try to do it their way. I tried to do it your way. I actually did. And this is what we got. Right. And I told you, they're never gonna let us have it. They're never gonna leave us alone. They're never gonna get, because technically I can shut down the whole planet. So like if you, and again, that's what makes Magneto a brilliant villain. Is because, is he a villain?
No,
if you're human, he's definitely.
I was going to ask y'all. That put a smile on my face. I was literally going to ask the group: is Magneto a villain?
So the answer is yes.
Right.
However, I think the question is there a justification for his actions? So, like,
I mean, like the way it actually boils down in my mind is like super simple. Is Magneto A villain, yeah, because he's a terrorist, right? Like at the end of the day, Magneto is going to do the same thing that the humans are going to do. Like he doesn't. He's like, I will do it. Like, and he did it. Like, what's cool in the show is that we get to see him try not to do that. We get to see him like really like put his best foot forward.
You know, he gave it like a 3.5 episode try. He gave it the old 3.5 episode college try.
He did, but I mean,
they came to Genosha and did what they did. So,
and he explains it beautifully. He says, "I watched the child get his eyes incinerated as I was telling him to have some hope."
After I told him he would never have to be fearful again, I made that promise to him. And then I sat there and told him not to be frightened. As I watched him fry.
Right. So you completely get it. And if you were Magneto and the same thing happened, you might do the same thing. Like you might. Like to experience to go through those experiences like as heavy and deep as they are, and then somebody like, but you have the power to do the thing that Magneto does. That's why this is all fantasy. You might do it. You might.
Just like you might do with Killmonger. If you were a radical and you found out there was a country of black folk living on the hog with all this tech, and you are somehow related to them. Oh, and by the way, they came and killed your daddy. You would probably react. A lot of people would react like Killmonger.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of people would look at that place and go, "Nah, we struggling here. Y'all got that, and y'all foul and corrupt. I want it."
Yeah.
I mean, look, I would, if I was Magneto, if I had his abilities, I'd have left a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'll just keep it a buck. I would have left a long time ago. I'm like, I'm gonna pull this asteroid joint in. Anybody who wants to get down, y'all want to come hang out on an asteroid? Let's go get it popping. You know what I'm saying? Come on. And I would have left.
He tried that in the old show. He was on it, but my man, what's his name? It's not Corsair. It's
his right hand man.
Set him up. Set him up.
Well, yeah. Well, because there was more to it than that. He wasn't just going to leave. That's the thing. He wasn't just going to leave. He was going to be because he has to be nefarious, right? Because here's the difference. The difference between what makes Magneto a villain is that he acts out of revenge.
Right.
That's the difference.
That's the most
that he acts out of revenge.
Yeah, that's the most important context because you said it like if I were him, I would, but you weren't you weren't like involved in I keep saying the Holocaust. Yeah, in the Holocaust, you weren't in the camp. You weren't like his whole thing is I've seen the worst of humanity against humanity.
Right.
I have that context. So you're right. That revenge aspect of him is what's holding him back.
A lot of it is. Here's the thing, Magneto, in some way, right? Mutants are all supposed to represent the minority of people, right? They're all supposed to represent people with disabilities, people who have different sexual orientations, people of color, they're all supposed to be representative of those things. And a lot of times we allow ourselves to just take the easiest high road of, well, Magneto is Malcolm X and Charles Xavier is Professor X because they're both mutants and they both whatever. However, the difference between the two is the persecution that Magneto has actually physically been through. And Xavier doesn't have that. And so Xavier actually is more like a rich white person who is trying to tell everybody Black Lives Matter, but doesn't actually have any context to speak from, to understand that it's wrong and that it shouldn't happen and it's not okay, but hasn't actually been through it. Like knows somebody who been through it. But don't be so mad about it. You understand what I'm saying? Or we can do things differently. We don't have to be like them. And I understand that, right? So part of what makes the X-Men so compelling is because it does have that depth.
Yeah.
There is nothing like this in the Justice League. It doesn't exist, right? Like you don't have that. The grounding of reality in this fantasy is so different. And so it really is. It's what made me a reader and prefer more of the Marvel stories, prefer X-Men over the DC stuff. As a person growing up, like going through puberty, going through like being teased, being smaller than people making funny, whatever that kind of stuff is, and like having something to read where like people are going through a thing, right? And you're trying to fight the good fight or be better than, you know what I'm saying, whatever. I've always been the kind of person that did my best to keep it on the up and up. But if you go too far, I will Magneto.
Yeah.
It's just a fact. Sin will tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you cross that line, it's going down.
Yeah.
And that is like, and I think any person with any shred of humanity does feel that way. At the same time, you also do feel for the humans. Because what do you do?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be afraid? What is to stop a person from Magneto from doing what Magneto can do? If you have to have X Factor. You need the X-Men mutant team that is government funded. You need X Factor.
Yeah.
Right? You need somebody who has oversight, who goes, hey, I got these people out here that can do this thing. This man can shut the whole planet down. We need to deal with this. You understand what I'm saying?
No protocols.
You can't be you can be mad at the persecution. You can't be mad at the fear. You can't, right? So if we lived in that world, what side would you be on if you didn't have power?
Yeah.
More importantly, if it turned out that your kid had powers and you don't. If you're Magneto, like Magneto has no family because his entire family was killed.
Right.
So he has no family. So Magneto doesn't have I'm gonna shut down everything on the planet and the earth. There is no, well, my little brother don't have no powers, and that means he gonna die. Right? There is no like, I'm gonna take the asteroid M thing, and my brother can just come live with us up there. But then everybody else who's a mutant who's like, well, I want my brother to come live. I want my sister to come hang with us. I want my kid to come live with us. Nah, you gotta leave y'all gotta leave your families behind. That's the other thing that's different about this that we don't really get a good look at is like they talk about I hope my kid is born human, or Storm saying I do wonder what it would be like to be human. That is a very much a thing that Black people like, man, if today I could just be white for a day and not have to worry about getting pulled over on my way to work. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a real thing, right? So but at the same time, Storm brothers and sisters, we don't really talk about them. All Scott siblings all got powers. They all mutants. Everybody's coming to the party. Like if we all decide to go, we're all going. We don't really have good stories of people who are like, well, yo, if I decide to side with people who have powers like I do, even if my mother and father don't care that I have powers and love me just the same and side with me, they can't come. I got to leave them here to die because I'm not, you understand what I'm saying? Like, even those things
Magneto's wrong.
Background to the world.
Yeah, that's why Magneto's wrong. For that very
that's
reason.
That's it.
He is a villain. I mean, but the reason why we can even ask if he's a villain or not is because he's so well written, not just on this show, but just in general. One thing I will say about every adaptation of Magneto, he's always been well written, and you've always been able, whether it's Ian McKellen or Michael Fassbender or this version of him or other versions of him, comic book version of him, that depth. Now, outside of the 60s version of Magneto, we were just, Magnus, the Magnet Man, once they started giving him a story, and that's what he was in the back in the day. He just, I got magnet powers, but once you gave him a actual background in the story, he immediately became probably the most compelling comic book villain, one of the most compelling comic book.
No, ever. Period.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to be fair, but yeah,
it's not. It don't have to be fair.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. That's why I've been such a you said it beautifully. That's why I'm such a big fan of this property, and that's why I've been excited to see what Marvel would do with the property, and that's why I'm thoroughly satisfied with what I've been seeing, because it's something I knew could happen, and now I'm seeing it play out. And it's not even in a live action form. It's just in not the down animation, because this is for real. This animation could be the best, it's the best thing that's come out on Disney Plus outside of WandaVision, which was basically X-Men stuff. Okay.
In a lot of ways. I mean, look, Charles shows up.
Yeah.
To meet my X-Men. Nah, dog.
Hey, first you say, I hope I'm not too late.
listen. Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have always had like these feelings about Professor X. Like I've never trusted him. Like never. Like he's just not trustworthy. Like ever. But like for me, let's just talk about it. Cyclops right at the top of the episode. Jean is like, we got 12 hours till the end of the earth. Cyclops, handle your business. Tell them what you got to say. Is Cyclops gives Professor X the business.
Yeah.
All of it. He's like, why you leave? Why you try to make my decisions for me? Why are you doing this? Why Magneto? Like all of it. And Professor X's answers are kind of what you would imagine them to be, but it's just like, it's whack. It's whack.
It's very different.
Every character for the rest of the episode is in his mix except for Wolverine, oddly enough.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, Professor X's response to him is very different from what it is in the comics, which I was a little surprised by.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, he says, I wanted you to be able to have a life, which in a lot of ways is a cop-out. But I think it makes more sense for the direction that they're trying to take this show, as opposed to where we were going in the comics at the time that happened, because it definitely happened in the comics, and it's almost word for word the way Scott was going to him. And like Professor X is I like Professor X because he's afraid of his own power.
He should be.
He should be.
Yeah.
And he is.
And Magneto is not.
It almost makes me feel, I don't know. Did y'all watch Jessica Jones?
Yes.
The first one.
Purple Man.
Let me tell you something, dog. Purple Man, dog.
Yeah.
Kilgrave, bruh.
Yeah. For a long time, he was the best.
They turned him into the best villain I had ever seen.
Yeah. I agree with you. For a long time, I was saying that was the best Marvel villain, period, in live action, period.
But the reality of it is he falls victim to his own powers, but he talks about being afraid of his own power. Like his ability to basically he can tell you something or tell you to do something. You just got to do it and never know whether or not people are doing things because they like him or just because he says something, because it was a Freudian slip of like, if he was just having a conversation with somebody and they said something to him, he's like, man, stop playing. And they just never played again, never played a game again. Never did, like, you know what I mean? Like having to be that mindful. Professor X is not trustworthy, Harry, because you can't actually trust your own thoughts around him. You don't know if he's in your mind. You don't know if he's invading your privacy. You have no idea. It makes him the ultimate spy who can't move like on his own. But he can be
choosing to let you do what you want to do. It's
correct.
His choice.
But he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to.
And that, I think, is his being as powerful as he is and exercising the restraint that he has.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, now I'm gonna keep it a buck. If I had Magneto's powers, I'm gonna just be like, you know what we're gonna do? We about to bounce. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody who wants to come on, we can go.
Mm-hmm.
We don't gotta fight this fight. We don't have to fight these people. You know what I'm saying? Just let them. They gonna kill themselves anyway, right? They'll destroy themselves. But I'm gonna keep it a buck, dog. If I had Professor X's powers, I'd be a problem. I'm gonna just, dog. I want everybody to be honest with themselves, dog. For a moment. If you could do what Professor X can, I'm talking about basically freeze time.
Yeah.
Dog. You just stop people in their tracks. Get in their head and make them do whatever you want. You understand what I'm saying? Like, dog, if you discovered that power when you were like 13,
yeah,
you couldn't tell me,
bro. We asked earlier why Professor X got so much money.
That's why.
Because he knows.
Slim can play the stocks and know.
Yeah,
bro. There's like, if I had his abilities, I'd be unstoppable.
Right.
You would like, who gonna stop me?
Yeah,
because you're not even going to, like, you have to be on my level. You would have to be White Queen. You would have to be somebody who's even close to being as powerful mentally as I am. And then you give me Cerebro, and I'm only using that joint. To find other mutants to help them. I'm gonna need them nuclear codes from everybody. Hey dog, I am shifting elections. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm the king of the world. The world has voted for me. I'm the king of the world.
Well, I mean, you kind of
everybody likes me.
You kind of listen. You kind of see
that everybody likes me.
No, listen. You kind of see that he's not king of the world. I mean, there's a reason why he's in the Illuminati. There's a reason why, like, even in the films, you kind of see what happens when he goes nuts, right?
Yeah.
You see what happens when he's sick and he has Alzheimer's and what can happen, right? You see that. And I think that one time they kind of went to, because I think that, again, is another thing I think the show is doing well. And again, it's because it's taken from the comic books, is not painting Professor X as just like this holy character that's just like this nice man in a wheelchair. They're showing that he's not trustworthy, that he's controlling, that he can see things.
They're showing that he's human.
Right?
Yeah.
And they've never really tapped in that much in the movies. They've had a couple of spots. I won't sit and name everyone. I will say the one time I saw it like completely was in probably the most forgettable and worst X-Men movie, Dark Phoenix, where there is a part where he's basically become arrogant and he's become like untrustworthy, and Beast has this bad movie. We're not going to that movie, right? But I'm just saying that, you know, we talked about showing Cyclops in the complexity of the character, on this show, where we think it could go. I'm excited to see that with Charles Xavier because we've never seen that in live action before.
Yeah, I mean, look,
and I also think, like, for me, like, I don't like Professor X, but I don't mean I don't like the character Professor X. I don't know if that came off like, you know,
no,
like I like not liking Professor X. You're like, if that makes any sense.
When Professor X, like I said about Scott, when Professor X is written at his best is when he is borderline evil, Charles. Borderline arrogant, borderline like, I don't know what's up with Charles. Like, when Charles isn't at his best, when Charles is having forced to do things that's outside of, you know, that when he has to color outside the lines, that's when Charles is most interesting to me.
I mean, look, I've always liked the Professor X. I think that there's a difference between Charles Xavier and Professor X. I think I've always liked Professor X.
Yeah.
Right? Like the teacher, the person that's trying to mentor people, that's trying to do the right thing and keep people on the up and up, you know, whatever. Charles Xavier is a human being, fallible man, right? Who who doesn't always make the right decisions. For a person who is so intelligent and also can read the minds of everyone,
right?
He's a very flawed man, right? Which again is why the characters are so interesting, right? Because look at what he can do, but he's still very flawed. Now, the fact that he's so conflicted, part of what makes him so conflicted is that he has such ridiculous power.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Because he could just shut him off.
Yeah. Well,
right,
it's the fact that again, like for me, like we've been having this conversation about Cyclops and his leadership and his ability to like see like the world and be his own man, which I still feel like this whole thing has been walking Cyclops into that. And I feel like he's here now. And this confrontation between these two characters, like for one, the fact that Professor X he sits here, he takes it. You know what I mean? Like he's like he essentially is almost to a person when they come at him, he's like, I messed up.
Yeah, I gotta eat that.
Yeah.
Which is again, it is him saying, I was trying to do the thing that I thought was going to be the best.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, here's the thing. What I like about his response to Cyclops in saying, I wanted you to be able to have some freedom, right? To literally then follow that up by saying, you and Jean have done every single thing I have ever asked of you the entire time. And you can see it in the fact that even when the professor's gone, Cyclops is struggling with keeping the dream alive, with trying to foster for all these other mutants who are supposed to be a part of this team, that dream, right? And people saying to him, you're no Charles Xavier, you're no Professor X. You know, Wolverine literally saying to him, you know, the worst thing about Charles being gone is you. That's terrible to say to a person, right? They straight up said that joint like on the basketball court, like, hey, no, let's fight. Now, that's terrible. Now, Xavier, though, I think people generally don't like Xavier because I think people think that he has a very I am holier than thou attitude because he's like, we're better than that. We don't have to do that. We don't whatever, which is a lot of the reasons why I think there were people who just didn't like Martin Luther King. You know what I mean? Stop preaching. Stop preaching to me, dog. They out here firing hoses at us and hanging us at night. Stop preaching to me. You understand what I'm saying?
MLK understood politics and played politics.
Yeah, but he also was a very flawed man.
No, I'm saying that. That's what I'm getting at, though. That's what I'm getting at. When you present as, when the image of you becomes, I'm holier than thou, and then when you get into the weeds, you know that you operate like a politician at times. Those things conflict. And like with Xavier, that's why I say like the best versions of Xavier for me, not like an evil version of Xavier, like there's a version of him in the comic books right now that's like a legit like evil version of him. It's not that, but it's a version of him that has to color outside of the lines. And Magneto can always color outside the lines because he's telling you straight up, I am what I am. But Charles presents himself as, I'm always doing this for the right. But when people are looking at him and going, but yo, you screwed me over to do that, or you hurt me, or you hurt this person, or you did something that was unsavory for that goes against your image of this holier than thou figure in a wheelchair.
We also think that there's it's very easy to get into the like Cyclops and Jean have been there from the very beginning. You know, we've heard the like, how could you give the team over to our biggest enemy or whatever? I think part of what we miss in that and in that conflict between them is the father-son conflict.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, it's there. It's
right.
It's beautiful.
I mean,
it's beautiful.
That's what it is more than anything. Yeah. It's not just like, Scott didn't have his father. His father wasn't around. We talked about that when the whole thing happened with Nate. I can't abandon. You knows what it's like to be abandoned. I'm gonna walk away right now. Like, so weird. But Xavier did walk away from him. Xavier abandoned him, quote unquote. He was sick. and they went away to get him fixed. But then to find out that he's off getting it in and about to get married and be like the king of whatever, and like, you just left us down here. You abandoned us. You abandoned me.
And you disrespect.
I'm your son. I'm your child. I'm the only one. You know what I mean? And you gave your inheritance to anybody else.
Yeah.
It's like, for real, it could have been Wolverine that he gave it to. And Cyclops would have been like, hey, dog.
Really?
For real?
Yeah.
Like, him?
Yeah.
Right? Like, who else? Like, everything that Scott has been doing has been.
He might have been okay if he gave it to Storm.
Probably.
Yeah. Maybe.
Probably. in some way, only because Storm's kind of like the big sister.
Yeah.
So it still would have felt like, because Wolverine is and always has been an outsider to Scott.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, like, Storm was kind of like the big sister. They might have had to fight about it, but it would have been like somebody dying and leaving their inheritance to the older sibling, as opposed to leaving it to the younger sibling or whatever. In this case, literally everything that Cyclops has done has been for Charles Xavier's approval. And the final stitch on that, the signature on I approve of you, you're ready to run the team, to lead the team, to handle everything, would have been my last will and testament. I'm giving it over to you. Now, he didn't do that, right? So Scott is also conflicted about his position and what he actually means to the professor. And for the professor to say, bro, you're not really my son, but you have dedicated your entire life. If I said we got to go do this, you just went and did it. And I wanted you to be able to walk away from that, right?
Yeah.
And Scott's rebuttal to that by saying, hey, dog, what made you think I was ever going to actually be able to walk away?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The hope was it was going to get, Genosha was going to be a real thing. It would be realized, and you actually would be able to walk away.
Right.
You actually could walk away, right?
Truth was that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
It was never going to happen.
I also
but the
like
hope was always there.
Yeah, and I also like that. What Professor X actually ends up telling Cyclops is exactly the thing that Madeline says. She's like, maybe it's this, and maybe we can leave and go have our baby and live our lives. Like, it's exactly that thing. Which right, like, on his face, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, it comes from like the very best place.
Yeah,
right. It's also very much that Madeline has something kicking inside of her. And is having thoughts of like, I hope my baby is born human. Right. And I know that I won't know if my baby is human until they're like 15.
Right. But it's
all do a whole lot of raising with powers and and whatever, and we'll raise them to be accepting of other people. But then you're also talking about a very like invincible situation where it's like, at some point these powers are probably going to kick in, or they should kick in. Or as a child, you like, dang, my father can do this and my mother can do this, and I can't do nothing.
And also, you bring up Invincible. It's also what Invincible ultimately had to come to grips which is I'm invincible. I'm not a normal person. And so I feel like Charles coming home, even to move it to what happens after the conversation with Scott, the conversation he has, we alluded to it when Magneto shows up with the whole asteroid, and the truth telling that happens to Charles even in that moment, outside of Scott giving him the business, Rogue gives him the business, and I also thought something was
gives everybody the business.
Yeah, absolutely, and I thought something else was interesting. When Magneto is saying what he's saying, he flies over Charles basically to talk. Flies past him,
talks past him,
Charles kind of sits there with his back to him, just head down. And mind, this is just my interpretation of the art. And I saw a YouTuber say this. He's probably hearing everybody's thoughts.
Oh, sure.
He's probably hearing everybody go, all the conflict. And he's just choosing, like you said, Jerry, to just take it, to just basically get his comeuppance this entire episode.
You got no choice at that point after deserting him like that. You know what I'm saying? To go run off and get married and look at everything that happened in that moment. You got no choice but to sit there and take it on the chin.
Yeah, but hold on, but don't say it like that though. Like he didn't run off to get married, dog. He was dying. Like you really said like he was like, ooh.
I think it's the point that you didn't
like,
say nothing
like,
to nobody. That's the thing. Like you didn't say that to nobody. Like, okay, look, y'all got it.
He got healthy and did not come back.
Yeah.
He didn't come back, right? Like he didn't. There was no. He didn't reach out. He didn't.
Time ago.
Yeah. Like, I mean, look, we're at the moment, so let's just talk about the moment. Like, Magneto showing up, of all places, to the mansion, right? And Rogue and the Professor are already having this conversation, right? And her saying to him, like, maybe if you know, him saying he's trying to be poignant. He's trying to say Gambit was family, and I would have much rather Gambit was buried here. Than be buried in the bayou or whatever, like, you know, down there with them. And Rogue's response to that, I think it feels like it's about, my opinion of it is her response to him of like, you know, maybe if you saw us as something other than students, saw us as people, right? Because you don't own us as students. There's more to us than the students that we are. We have lives, we have feelings, we have things that we want to do, which again is what he was trying to say, that he was trying to give Scott and Jean, right? I'm trying to give them go be free, right? But I also think that was her saying, yeah, dog, but you weren't here.
Yeah,
you weren't here. He's dead, and we made the decision. And so he got, but also she wasn't there when she was there when he died. She wasn't there when he got buried. Right. So the decision making of where Gambit got buried, you could have been here and you weren't. You could have prevented it. You could have helped us. If you'd have been around for Genosha, maybe Genosha doesn't even happen.
Maybe it doesn't happen.
All of those things. Again, this is a Rogue who wakes up and finds out that all these people survived, and the first thing Remy, nah, dog, he didn't survive. Right? Magneto did though. Right? So it's her, mind you, she's no longer in her X-Men suit.
I was about to say
she's in her old green Rogue suit.
Yeah.
She ain't in her X-Men suit. She's wearing Gambit's trench coat. She takes that trench coat and throws that joint on Charles when she decides she's going with Magneto. You can have this joint. You know what I'm saying? You want him to be buried here? You had a coat. I'm going up there with them. You know what I'm saying? And again, the symbolism of that for me is she is now completely shaking Remy off, because she had made a decision not to side with Magneto before so that she could be with him. Now that he's not here, there is nothing keeping me grounded and here. The Professor wasn't keeping me here. Remy was keeping me here. He was the reason why I chose not to go do and be with Magnus, even though it was for the greater good.
Right.
Now, I'm not about to watch nobody else die. I'm about to go with him. And everybody who does die, they ain't gonna be mutants.
Right.
Unless they cross us. Right?
Right.
To have Robbie be like, you know, dog, I'm with them.
Yeah.
My mother straight turn me over to the Sentinels.
Yeah.
It just feels like, you know, again, like, so you I guess in the comics at this point, this is the issue where like Colossus ends up joining Magneto.
Yeah.
And I think at that point in the comics, like Ilyana had to get
his sister
first
died,
time, something like that.
Yeah.
So he was in his feelings. So it's
go ahead.
Legacy virus, right?
Legacy virus, correct.
Right. So it's like you know, we're kind of sitting on like similar ideas and similar beats, but they're being like executed like fully like differently for this story. And like Rogue leaving just feels right. It feels like this is the thing that she needs to do in this moment. And Roberto leaving, like, it don't make nothing but sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
like
mean, he's
Jubilee,
got on his actual X-Men suit.
yeah, the New Mutants joint.
Yeah, but
right,
man, you know what, dog? I'm out.
And it goes back to something I said a couple of weeks back, that they're not a team right now. They have not been a team since Genosha. Like that.
They're about to be a team. They about to be two teams.
Well, no. What I mean is that there's a true conflict between them.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like there's clear conflict, even in leadership. They don't believe in the person that has been leading them. They don't.
You know what though? I think that conflict always exists within the team.
Yeah, no, but the show is really, if you aren't an X-Men fan and you're just watching this show, you're learning that. The other properties didn't really show you that. Because I think it's important to know I think you understand this, but important for people to understand, maybe watching this, is that this is a reintroduction of the X-Men.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Absolutely it is. Like this is the most, these are the real X-Men. Like you've seen versions of the X-Men, and this is coming from an X-Men movie fan. But those, we know the differences in what was done. This version of the X-Men, taking stories straight from comic books, this is showing you how the team can split up, that they can have philosophical differences as a team, that they can argue with the professor, that they can, this is showing you that. And I think that, this is like the kind of like the culmination of what's been happening all season. Even what happens, even the fight, I know we're not there yet, even the end fight shows conflict amongst the team in that last fight, which I know we'll get to.
The thing about I thought about this when I watched this episode, when I watched episode 9. I think X-Men was the first reality TV. Mm-hmm. It's the real world. Mm-hmm. We're gonna take 9 people who don't know each other, throw them in a house together, see what happens. Mm-hmm. Right? Everybody comes from somewhere different. Everybody has a different story. There's always one person who's trying to placate everybody and kind of keep it all together. In this case, it's kind of Morph, right? He's like kind of, whatever. There's the young one who don't really know nothing. It's like I was watching this joint. I was like, hey, this joint reminds me of Making It a Band. Like, let's just take these people, put them in this joint, and expect them to just go make an album. Like somebody ain't gonna make it. Somebody getting kicked off. It's a little bit Big Brother. It's a little bit Making It a Band. Like, it really is this thing where you took these people that come from these different backgrounds, that have these different abilities, and they have to learn how to work together because they also have to learn how to live together. And they don't have to like each other. They don't have to agree on everything. But when it's time to pull it off, when it's time to get on the field and you got the person calling the plays, we're going to execute as a team, right? So, like, I think a lot of what we're seeing, we've talked about them not really being a team or not really feeling like a team. And I think that I do think that's a leadership thing. I think that with Xavier gone, you have a Cyclops who knows or feels like it's his responsibility to step into that role, but he doesn't have that yet. He isn't there yet. That's interrupted by Magneto showing up, and Magneto just shows up and starts dishing out orders. You and you go do this. You and you go do this. This is what's going to happen. And in some manner, a cohesiveness does begin. Like, for all intents and purposes, you would think that Wolverine would just be like, I'm out. Yeah. I'm not doing this. I'm not running with it. I don't care if it was Charles' last will and testament. It doesn't say in there he wants Wolverine to be on the team. I'm gone. And he could have just bounced, right? What's keeping him there? What's happening with Jean? Is it because Jubilee is there? There are family pieces that are keeping him there, where under any other circumstance, he'd have been like, no, I'm not doing this. That's crazy.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? There are elements that are keeping him there. So there's a team. The team is distraught. We don't really have a team. We do still have a family. Yeah. There is still a family structure that's there. And that's the other part of what makes the X-Men so special. So as we deal with this other father, the person who said, no, dog, you left them to me. These are my X-Men. But here I am giving you a choice. You can come with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's get down or lay down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think like again, like as the episode goes forward and we break into blue and gold and we
Yes.
have our assault on Asteroid M. It's funny, like the Earth assault, like I don't have like a whole lot to say about that, but I guess I don't know, maybe well, you know what? Obviously, the Asteroid M is where it's at.
Yeah.
That's the main event.
Yeah,
So
I'll just point out two quick things about, and we really don't have to because I agree with you. The Sinister fight was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
The stuff with Cable and Jean was extremely cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
we'll talk about that.
I feel like that ties right into the Asteroid M.
Yeah, which it does. But
You
I didn't want to leave out without saying the Sinister, and we talked about this. The Sinister fight was really cool, but I agree with you. Asteroid M is where it's at. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Asteroid M is where you have teammates fighting each other.
Yeah.
Former teammates fighting each other. So certainly there's
Civil
something
War.
there. I don't think that there's nothing like what's happening on Earth with Morph and Beast and making the attempt to subdue Bastion, to deal with Sinister, having that team there, right? Having Jean and Storm. Yo, that moment between Jean and Storm.
Yeah.
Great.
I didn't say nothing was happening. I said I didn't have a bunch to say about it.
That was one thing I was reminded about in that episode. Made me miss Storm, seeing her come back and just her and Jean and her and Jubilee. Like it made me really miss Storm. Like we really needed her back with this team right now.
Bro, they showed up. Her four showed up and say, like, again, that moment you're talking about, Jerry, where you feel like they're running from them. It is literally calling back to them in the beginning of the, in the old episodes. It was always Jubilee that was running that gets trapped at the gate, and in this, it's always been Roberto that runs that gets trapped at the gate. And here they are together, trapped against the wall, nowhere to go. I mean, he could kill all of them for real, but and he can fly. I don't know why they stuck there. Let's just
before you start thinking about
suspend our disbelief
because he don't want to.
Because I'm just saying, because Storm flies in, like, so they can fly out. I just whatever. So like, Storm shows up.
Cracking. Roberto is terrified.
Sure. Yep. And if I'm terrified and I can fly, guess what I'm gonna do?
Fly
out of here. Jubilee might get left. Whatever's got pop is gonna pop. But like I'm gonna get or everybody who got me. Listen, the last place you want me when I can do what he can do is in a corner, feeling trapped
in an alley. Where I can just y'all just funneled.
Everybody.
I mean, that's probably what was going to happen
until Storm shows up. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then so Storm shows up. Here's some lightning bolts for y'all. I know y'all better get up out of here, right? Cool. Oh my God, Storm, it's so good to see you. I'm so happy. You got your powers back, tears, and all of that. I love it. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And man, I'm telling you, bro, that moment between Jean and her when she was like, make them, what'd she say? It was like,
she said, make them
mind your weather and make them weather your mind.
Make them weather your mind. Boy.
Hey, can I tell you one other really cool
that's
line?
Entertainment.
Yes,
it is.
Can I tell you one other thing that made me laugh too? Because it's a small scene, but it's when they're making the call or whatever. And Storm walks in and goes, "Impress me."
100%.
Storm.
Yeah.
Like,
also, I also want to take a moment. Man, it's again, Beast. First of all, when they walk through the door and that forged Beast Dap is like,
my homie, what up, bro?
Do this with the head, yeah.
Right. Oh man, so like that, and then in the conversation where Storm is like, impress me. At the end of that, they're like, yo, and we're about to use some of that power negation stuff. We about to get on it. And she's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're not doing that.
Yep.
Yeah. I also want to say,
message heard.
Again, this is what I'm talking about when I say they can do the writing so well where, like, my suspension of disbelief, you have taken care of me. The first thing Beast does is talk about how Forge's legs and stuff are working. And he's like, oh, yeah, I had an anti-EMP joint put in years ago because of what I'm like, exactly, dog. Perfect, bruh.
Right.
That's how you do suspension of disbelief. That's how you do it. Because you know I'm sitting here like, hey, dog, I know this dude just Iron Man jet booted down with Storm to save them. And like, how?
Yeah,
my man said, "Oh no, I got the woo woo on my leg. I've been did that. I did that a long time ago." Like, yes, dog. Talk me through it. It only takes a very simple statement to be like, "This is why that works. This is why that happened." That's all it is.
I know,
and that works well for me.
I just want to put your mind at ease and just be like, also, there's a timer on the show that they can't go over when they're putting it together, and they literally be like, which pieces of this can I get rid of and have the show still make sense?
Listen, I understand that. I'm not you got which is why the joint stays at like a 7.5, 8 versus dropping to like a 5. Because I'm like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Like, I know that you got to work within the time constraints, and I know, like, I get all that. Like, I totally understand that. So I'm not. You gotta understand that I'm not poo-pooing it because I know that things have to happen, right? Like, I know that there's sequences that get cut, there's stuff that gets storyboarded that doesn't show up. I know that, you know what I'm saying? I know that there are pieces that get written that's like, yo, we don't have that kind of time, even though we can do hour-long shows instead of doing half-hour shows like we used to have to do. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. Like, I totally get that. Again, that joint could have been completely throwaway. They didn't have to keep that in there, but they did.
Yeah, but
and
it was good though.
That makes my heart, like, you don't even understand, bro. Like, when they did that, I was like, yes, exactly.
Because I feel like
and he was like, and then he was like, how'd you do that? And he was like, I thought of it because I'm Forge, bro, and that's what I do. And he doesn't. There is no actual explanation for Forge's powers, which is like the most brilliant ridiculousness there is. You just have to accept the fact that he can make whatever he wants, but he doesn't, which is so dumb. But anyway.
So no, I mean, he got to think about it. Like, if he didn't make it, it just didn't occur to him yet.
Right. That's it. It's gonna occur to him eventually if he wants it. Right. It just hasn't yet. I'm making a thing that I'm making a collar that I can take, and you know what I'm saying, I can fix this. You know what I'm saying? We can shut Bastion down. We just need the time to do it. So let's go. Let's get in here and do it. So let's split up. We got a gold team. We got a blue team. Let's split up. We going to Asteroid M.
Right.
And y'all going to deal with Bastion. And they go down to Bastion's old neighborhood in the woods, bro. Hey, dog. When this Bama Sinister showed up, dog, I have never. I was like, hey, this Bama Sinister is moving, dog. Hey, my man is getting it right now. And I'm like, yo, my man is like backflipping. And I'm like, yo, let me just say, never been a Sinister fan, never cared about Slim for real. I know who he is, like what they doing in the comics now, where there's like 4 of them and like all of that. But this joint, I'm like, nah, you're not about to really try to go toe to toe with Jean Grey. My man's just like in her head, like, I know everything about you. I have picked your DNA apart and put it back together. I like, you can't do like. And she's like, because me and Madeline Pryor are one now. We're fighting together. I don't even care. It don't even make sense. I don't even care. I don't even care. I'm going to lift the roof. Like, oh, you hiding in the shadows? I'm going to lift the whole roof off this joint and let all the sunshine in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if they literally could have done that joint and just played that song, I'd have been like, yep, let's go. Let's get it. You know what I'm saying? And then he's like, oh, no, I got the ultimate weapon. I'm going to have your not son show up. Yeah, and my man said, you know what, dog? My real mother, first of all, you ain't got to be that rude.
He did.
Hold on.
He violated right there.
Listen, I don't know what got cut from the show or where I missed it, but I know I never heard Jean say she was his mama, dog. I know I never heard her say it.
He's been throwing it in there every chance he gets.
He's been throwing the most shade at her, dog. And it's like, yo, she didn't do nothing. Right. It's not her fault. My real mother was a world-class telekinetic. So hold up, dog. You trying to say I ain't? You don't know? You don't know, dog, because you don't know. Actually, I also need to just kind of point out that this Bama Sinister was like, I mean, I'll tell you when I switched you. If you want to know, like, dog, if you don't get out of here with that boogeyman, like, you're a boogeyman, dog.
Yeah.
Yo, like Nathan Summers, dog. Cable is an incredible telekinetic.
Mm-hmm.
He's an incredible telekinetic.
Yeah.
However, he doesn't ever use his telekinetic abilities because he's actually using them to keep the virus in him at bay.
Yeah.
So he never uses it. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he's going wild right now,
yeah,
beefing with the OG Phoenix,
yeah,
I'm concerned about Cable's health.
Yeah,
right now.
You should be concerned about everybody's health. It's real rough out here.
It is, but I'm not. Like, I'm not really like. Cable not gonna win that battle. I'm not even like. I don't even feel like he's going. You know, like I'm not even worried a little bit about
so
that.
That's a mismatch.
Yeah, stop it. You know what I mean? So like, I whatever. Like, I should pop that little gem on his head and it'll be over. But like, I'm concerned for his health, not just because he's fighting her, but also because he's like really going ham with the telekinetic.
Doesn't want to hurt him because of Scott.
Well, yeah, but they haven't explained that he doesn't use his powers because it keeps the virus at bay, and they may not go there at all in the show. Yeah. So like, I'm speculating because I have comic knowledge that says, well, go ahead and speculate. That's the best part of doing these shows is speculating and having conversation about Porsches. But but on that note, because y'all are also excited about what's happening on Asteroid M, I'm gonna just let y'all have it. I'm gonna sit this one out and just y'all talk to me about Asteroid M.
No, see, this is what I want to know. So first of all, I think it's been cool to see, specifically with Jubilee. Like in this episode, we've seen her do a bunch of stuff that she did in the video game episode. Like if you like,
but she doesn't like, go ham like the older version of her.
No. I don't mean in terms of like her upgrading her abilities. I mean in terms of like those scenarios have like come into her life again. Yeah. So I think like visually that's cool. And then man, first of all, the teams, like I just want to say, like, as a fan, I'm like, I feel like my blue team is a little outmatched. You know, I want to say like my big gun in this fight is the professor, you know. That's cool, but like, ooh, they got Magneto, ooh, they got Rogue.
Yeah.
That's like, what are we gonna do? And we brought Wolverine. I know why he's there. I don't need my suspension of belief to be fixed. I know it's a bad idea to send Wolverine against Magneto. Everybody knows this, except Wolverine. He never knows this.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
What though? They spent a lot of the episode having Charles say, I think he'll do the right thing at the end of the day. I don't think he'll go there. And I have to assume that's like a general thought that they have about him. He's talking to the president. President's like, look, we got Magneto protocols, bro. We about ready to pull him. No. I know I could talk to him. And then there's another important scene because Wolverine is who he is. Wolverine gets blinded by rage at times. He gets to a point where he's not thinking. And there's a scene where he's in there fighting and Rogue tackles him and she goes, whoa, you're fighting to kill.
Yep.
So
you are wilding, basically.
Like, I actually don't think that's the case here. Wolverine is not. He's not off his leash. He's not off his chain. He hasn't lost. He's all up here. He's been thinking about it the whole time. Even if the fact, like, you think about it, he really doesn't like go at Magneto until Magneto is like super distracted. But from Jump Street, when they're planning everything out, and Gage, you've been talking about it, like how in the old show, like they would just have him pop his claws.
Yeah.
He was like, he's been saying the whole episode, he's like, when we go up there, I'm going to try to kill him.
No, so that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's feral. No, I'm not talking about.
Oh yeah.
No. That's not what I meant. Wolverine can sometimes become like a missile, like he's like you said. I'm trying to kill this dude. That's what I'm on. Again, Rogue tackles him and say, "Oh, you fighting to kill." It's almost like she was trying to say, "Bro, I'm a bad guy right now, but also I'm trying to, you're wilding, like, you know what I mean? But you're gonna
like, don't make me hurl you into space, guy. I really will fling you. Did you? I know you wasn't there when I flung Cap
but I
Shield.
can do it. Yeah, or
I will yeet you in the orbit.
Or my ball. I don't think you quite understand what Magneto's on, and so
I think Rogue is like, yes, today is the day. Do bring that energy because that's what I'm looking for. I think that's what she.
I honestly believe that Rogue is in a place where the only other man she loves is beside her, and she's not fitting to let Slim die.
Right.
Already, she already watched him die once. She thought.
I don't think she wants either one of them to die. Like whether it's the X-Men or Magneto. I don't think
she don't want nobody to die
because of how everyone looks when the thing happens later on, right? And that's what I mean. Like it's, I think Jerry, you alluded to earlier. This is a very much a Civil War. This reminded me of the Civil War fight. You know what I mean? When I forget who said like you're pulling your punches out there, and it's like they're out there fighting, but then nobody's really trying to kill. That's why what happens to War Machine is like, oh, what the hell? You know what I mean? So I think that this fight, except for Magneto and Charles, I think this fight for everybody else is just like maybe they're not thinking it in the front of their mind, but they're like, I don't want to, like Rogue, like you said, Rogue's like, I don't really want to throw you into space. I could easily throw you into space, but I don't want to. Well, I don't want to take my gloves off and just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to do it. If she was really about why she fight with the gloves on? You know what I mean? So I think that there's some pulling of punches until someone else decides not to pull the punch. And then the other person decides, oh, okay.
Like I feel like Magneto or Jubilee and Roberto, they're not really in it. And Nightcrawler, he's not really in it. Not to the degree that this thing is really going down. But Wolverine, Magneto, the Professor, and Rogue, like they came here and they knew, like, because Professor's plan is all to shut down his mind.
The Professor, I would
his plan is to shut down his mind. He doesn't think anybody is going to die, but I think, well, he's not going to shut down his mind. That's what happened in the comics. But I have to think that Professor X thinks using his mind to control Magneto in that way is as terrible a violation as he could do to anyone.
Hey, dog. I hate Cyclops again, dog.
For shooting the chair?
Shot my man, dog. Listen, they're not ready yet. Hey, dog, shut up, dog.
They need more time.
It was about to be over.
Nah, they need more time.
They don't. No.
They do. He said it. Cyclops said, hey, Professor, take it easy. They need more time. Wolverine, I don't know what to tell you.
Here's my concern. I don't know how they intend to play this. Let's just get to this. When this happened in the comics, Jean held Wolverine's body together with her mind. When Magneto pulled the adamantium out of his body, stripped his bones naked. First of all, if we're doing Onslaught, it's a little late in the season, but okay. Because that's how Onslaught happened. And
but he could be the villain for next year.
Bruh, I'm just saying. Like, and it was the aftermath of Onslaught that brought on Xavier's sister, which is about to be the problem in Deadpool.
Right.
But I don't know how Wolverine survives this.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just gonna be like, his healing factor is fine and he'll be all right. Like that's just kind of where I'm at, because Jean's not there.
Yeah.
She was there in the comic. She's not there.
Yeah, and it's already ripped out of him.
But I mean, I'm talking about that joint was that joint was like the shot from the comic, like down to the rip. Like that joint was the joint out. And I'm gonna keep it a buck, dog. When they went to fight on Asteroid M and Wolverine was going, I was like, nah. So like, I hear what y'all are saying that like, man, what's happening between this team and this team? Like, it's more. But I'm watching the joint and I'm enjoying what's happening. But I'm like, nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not gonna, right? Hey, dog. The moment Wolverine shanked this man in his back.
Yeah, which is the most dramatic thing that happened all season, by the way.
This is why if I'm Wolverine, dog, you ain't getting stabbed. You getting cut to pieces. I'm just like we tearing you apart.
I'm lopping stuff off.
What? Yeah, like I'm not being cute. I've been in a lot of wars. Then you should know better. You should know better. But the minute that happened, I was like, they about to do this.
Yeah.
They really about to do this. This man Professor said, Magnus, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, dog.
I've been waiting to say this for years.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Shut up, dog.
Yeah.
Told my man, shut your trap, dog.
Also, shut your ass up and play some drums.
Exactly, dog. Professor, shut up and walk it off, dog. Like something, dog. He just went, dog. And bro, I'm concerned right now.
Yeah.
What are we doing? This is how you make people wait a week. This is how you do it. This is how you hang a cliff, bro. This is where you put it.
Yeah.
What in the world are y'all doing?
Because it's just different enough. That's why this whole thing has been dope. Because there's a lot of comic book moments in it, right?
Yeah,
correct.
But it's just
I know what they're doing, but I don't know what they're doing, dog. It's brilliant.
It's just different enough that you don't know. We all seen any comic book X-Men fan seen Wolverine, seen that shot of Wolverine. In fact, in Days of Future Past, they tried to give you a little Easter egg of it when he wrapped the metal around him and had him like that. It's like, oh, that's supposed to remind you of when he pulled the metal out, animated him out. We all seen that, and we all know what happens. We all know what happens to Wolverine. We all know. But because you changed just that one piece, the person that was going to hold them together is not there. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of YouTubers and people out there telling, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen on the X-Men. You don't know because what Gaylord just said.
Nobody knows.
They just said.
Insider knowledge.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Hey, dog.
I thought Storm and Cyclops was going to get into a fist fight weeks ago because of what happened in the book. So you don't know.
Yeah. She ain't no powers though. She could.
No, I'm just saying. But that storyline goes there is what I'm trying to say. But the show does the right thing.
Adam.
Yeah. Yes.
Adam.
Yes.
Are the Avengers gonna show up in the next episode?
I'm
throwing joints out there. I'm going hard now. Are the Avengers showing up? Listen, Captain America was threatening. I got my team ready. We're gonna move in and do. Are they showing up?
The Earth just got shut down.
They better do something.
Where the hell?
What are they doing?
unless Tony's suit not working, like you said.
His suit don't work.
His
suit don't work, right? Yeah. He didn't think about the little upgrade joint. You know,
he got a Forge anti-EMP joint sitting on the side. A Mark EMP 1250,
Mark 48 or something.
Mark 10,000. No, you know what? That's a great point that I actually hadn't even thought about, bro. Like I can see it. I mean, you have an episode like you said with Captain America goes like, there's a team. My team's there. We've seen the Hawk. So I don't know. I hadn't thought of this. I literally had never even thought about that. But the Earth has been shut down, and there's a threat to it. And there's a lot of heroes on Earth, and they're just sitting around watching the X-Men fight each other. Why wouldn't they step in?
What are the Magneto protocols?
What are the Magneto's protocols? That's a great question, bro.
If the Avengers, if Captain America is acting on behalf of the government,
yeah,
and the conversation that he had with Rogue's like, oh, unless you are against us, you know what I'm saying? Where are they?
Yeah,
where are they in the aid for the mutants, and what side do they choose when a mutant has shut down the Earth? What are the Magneto protocols? Who are they calling in? What are they doing?
Interesting, very interesting. I agree. I can see it.
They only had an hour, dog.
Yeah.
Professor X was having a mind conversation with
the president,
President Kelly.
Yeah.
My man said the Magneto protocols are here for a reason.
Yeah.
And we only got an hour. We got an hour left.
Yeah.
If you don't do something, we're going to have to act.
Yeah.
You only have an hour. So what are you giving them? 30 minutes? At what point do you decide, well, we're going to enact the Magneto protocols because this is taking too long? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Because Cyclops.
So what are they?
Tripped out.
Which one of your Captain Americas are you going to send to fight Magneto?
Do you send U.S. agent? I mean, listen, I don't know that you send Captain America to do that job.
Please don't.
I think you might send a Carol Danvers.
Something like that, yeah.
I think you might send a Carol Danvers to do that job.
Cap have a problem with Magneto. All you have is a shield, and that's like nothing to him. He can ball that up and throw it away. So, yeah.
I mean, if he literally just turned Wolverine's adamantium bones into liquid.
Yeah.
Straight spaghetti noodles.
That vibranium means can do a whole lot.
Maybe a couple of the Avengers, like you said, Carol Danvers, and maybe a couple other people.
Thor.
This friend will put his own helmet on Professor X's head and squeeze that.
Yeah,
he's diabolical, bro. Like he's on one, bro. Yeah. He been holding back. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But everybody is. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah.
Everybody's been holding. It's not a single person on this show that has been going.
That's basically what I'm saying. Like that whole fight was people holding back until Charles decided, I'm gonna wipe this Bama's brain.
Yeah,
Wolverine wasn't holding back. He was doing all he can.
No, Wolverine wasn't holding back, but that was the problem. That's what I'm saying. Rogue held back when she tackled him, and you fighting to kill. She could have took him out in that mode. She could say, you fighting to kill. Let me wipe you out. Let me just take you. Let me just take your energy away from you. Or I'm gonna just throw you out the ship because I can.
Is Rogue gonna turn on Magnus because of what he just did to Wolverine?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Is we know that? Look, Nightcrawler can only teleport, but so far,
yeah,
he has line of sight teleportation, so he can't. He's technically not supposed to be able to go where he can't see.
Mm-hmm.
So, what happens?
I think you made a great point. Mind you, we spitballing. Jerry probably sitting back like, y'all, all this sounds stupid, but I think you made a great
part of my favorite part about this.
Yeah, I think you made a great point earlier that those Sentinels were sitting over top of Rogue. Something about Rogue. Gyrick showed up. There was something about Rogue. and Rogue went into my man's mind, I would not be surprised if Bastion's secret trick is Rogue.
They haven't been able to shut him down.
I wouldn't.
He still has to be in play.
Yeah, Rogue.
They've combined so many different stories into one story to make this story that look, for all you know, the Watcher shows up next week.
Yeah,
very true.
I mean, really,
I've never seen him peeking his head.
Yeah, I mean, he was there. That again,
I gotta watch the show.
Because if you say, who do you send to fight Magneto? Doctor Strange.
Yeah, you could send Doctor Strange. Yeah, see, and that's why I think this thing. That's what's cool.
Wong could be Doctor Strange.
Yeah, no, I'm certain that's what's cool. I like
Wong could be Magneto.
Yeah, I like not knowing what's happening next. I enjoy it. So it could be you know what? I can see a world where the Avengers show up. I can see a world where the whole plot twist is Rogue turns into one of those Sentinels, and that was my man's master plan. I can see the Watcher showing up.
Deadpool could show up with his movie coming out.
Okay. You just don't know. Right. But man, Jerry's like, what? You just don't know. But that's the cool part about it. That's the cool part about it. It really is. Or maybe Xavier and Magneto have an astral plane fight.
Not gonna happen.
Like Big Trouble in China.
Right.
Yeah. Action, you never could beat me. I look at this point, right? This episode might be the best episode. This joint might be better than episode 5. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Episode 5 was shock. This puts us right back there again. Cause like, put it this way, like if you are not like even if you're not familiar with the comics, but you're familiar enough with Wolverine to know that he has healing factor, you're gonna imagine he can survive this. But what does that really mean? There are still people out there who don't know, even though I feel like they should know.
Yeah.
That he has bone claws. Like we're about to get Bonerine. Something's wild about that. That's wild, bro.
Yo, I'm like 12 years old, dog.
Yeah, you are, dog. and you know, that idea of getting that very feral version of Wolverine going forward is like, because they've never done that.
Never once. No. He's lost his
every time we see Wolverine, they always give us the very classic adamantium, whatever. They've never
been like highlighted throughout this season, so that's a good way, like in season 2, to do something new with him and give him his highlight spots, storyline wise and stuff.
Yeah,
the next season.
Make that environment like. But also, they could be doing Onslaught.
True, very true,
Jerry.
It all depends on how the next episode goes.
It's all on the table.
I mean, listen.
Yeah.
Again, Jerry's right. Like, he didn't shut his mind down yet.
Right.
But the party ain't over.
Right.
The party's not over. It ain't over. It ain't over.
It ain't over. Man.
The party's not over. Yeah, look, I'm gonna keep it a buck, man. I'm episode 8 for me was like, all right, we simmering. You know what I mean? We starting to cook a little bit, getting the aroma in the air, but we're not there yet. We're getting there. I don't know what's going on next episode, but as far as I'm concerned, right now, we there. Like,
oh no, we're here.
This is like the table is set. Dig in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Next episode has to be like, oh, I'm famished. I'm stuck. This episode is teetering, dog. This is like 9 9, 10.
No, yeah. So this one, if we get in there, we're going there. This one,
let's go.
Me for sure. Just because it was exciting from top to bottom. Even the parts that were just dialogue again.
All of it's so important.
All the stuff with Xavier in the beginning, just great writing, and then you just get to the action. And again, some things obviously I was super excited to get to like the Wolverine part, but yeah, like the Gene throwing the bowling balls at Sinister, and Madeline fights with me, and the animation, as I mentioned earlier in the episode, like the animation, the Sinister Gene fight was some of the best animation I've seen on this series. Like that was just cool. Like that was like cool ass animation,
Sinister was moving, dog.
Yeah,
like Sinister was.
That was cool.
He was moving, dog, and I was like, "This Batman's not a threat. He's a threat right now." Like I don't. He's always just so like lurky in the corner, Dr. Frankenstein, kind of like just like you don't really ever feel like he never really feels like a physical threat.
Right, he's a mental threat.
You know what I'm saying? Like he just like he's a mental threat lurking in the shadows, doing stuff like whatever.
Yeah.
Dog, that Batman was moving, dog.
Yeah, no, I mean, as I'm saying, like, I don't have a flaw with this episode.
He was on his ninja. Like,
yeah. I think that when I rewatch the whole season, which I will, I think that maybe I'll feel like you. And that was a 10 episode. But again, the feeling of 5 hasn't met. I haven't, and that's, by the way, that's not a knock, because that's like an incredible feeling to have.
Yeah, 100%.
But this one, no. But without a doubt, I was always ready to give this one a straight 9. Like this was a great episode with a lot of payoffs. And again, that Wolverine thing. Again, my wife's mouth was. Okay.
This episode has just the right amount of disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Not in the episode, but in the choices.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what episode 5 had. Episode 5 had Rogue making like, dog, you really gonna do that to Remy?
Yeah.
You really about this? Hold on, Slim.
Yeah.
Where you get that dress from?
Yeah.
You went and bought a dress and showed up in the sky.
Yeah.
With your bare arms out.
Right.
To dance with Magnus in front of this man.
Yeah.
And plant your lips and touch his hands in front of everybody.
Right.
I don't like these decisions you're making. I'm not feeling you right now, Rogue. What are you doing? And then they teetered with me and was like, even in all of that, and she's so happy to be there. She was like, Remy was right. Like some things are more than skin deep. And I'm like, yeah. But then she never got to tell him.
Yeah.
Here we are again. Magnus shows up. And she's like, you keep this jacket. I'm out. And in my head, I'm like, no, Rogue.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And like, if she didn't do it, Roberto wasn't going to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He did it because she did it.
Right.
That gave him permission. It made him feel like, I can, because he wouldn't have went first. He don't know him.
Yeah.
He does, but he don't know him. But technically, he's the only leader he's ever had. Like,
right.
He had no reason to follow Charles Xavier.
Yeah.
He never met this dude.
Yeah.
Dude just showed up. I don't know him. I know him. Right? So, but still, I'm like, when Jubilee's like, Roberto, no. Like, yeah, I'm like, me too. Roberto, no. I'm me, get up. Like, Wolverine, get up.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, what's going on, dog? Like, it has that. This episode very much has the, like, just the push and pull and like the, again, like, would you side with Magneto? Is he really wrong? What are the issues we're dealing with here? My man Hot shut the Earth down. What Earth gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What Earth gonna do? Because I'm kind of pulling for Earth, right? And then it's like, where are all the people? I just seen Spider-Man. Somebody got to be doing something. But for real, he's a street level guy.
Yeah.
He can't be dealing with Asteroid M. He got to go save these people in these hospitals that this Bama Magneto just shut all the power down to.
Right.
You was on life support. It's over now.
Yeah. In the jail that opened up, and some of his villains are on the loose now.
What? You kidding me?
Vulture's out there now.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on that they have to handle.
I'm sorry, guys. I definitely gotta get out of here.
Give me a score.
My score has gone up. I think it's 9-5.
Yeah.
All right, for both episodes?
No, it's 9 and then 9-5 because I was giving them both 9s.
Great.
So yeah, I just this thing is it's incredible. You know what I mean? Like it makes you, when you're watching it makes you feel like a little kid, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And then we can talk about this thing all week, and I got no complaints. Yep. I got no complaints.
Yep.
They better end this tight. Next week better be incredible. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying? Jerry, tell them where they can find you. Tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram, the Franchize with a Z art, and just Google Jerry Gaylord. I'm there.
There it is.
Excellent. Adam, where can we find you?
MSR_Adam. Check me out on YouTube. What are those? The Butler did it and Sneaks in the City.
Look, y'all tell us how y'all feel in the comments. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see y'all for the finale next week. Yeah. We out.
Yeah. Definitely.
Loading snacks.
All right, gentlemen. Sorry about that.
No. It's all good. Go eat or something, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I need to grub.